San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Monday to everybody out there in America's finest city. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Man, this is the best week. This is one of the best weeks of the year in sports. It's one of the best weeks of the year in sports. You know what? And they added the WBC to this week to make it even better. What time is it, Frank?
It's time for me to still have so many things to do and get it ready. And
there it is! The official start to Lack of Production Month. That's right, Nate. The official start to Lack of Production at Work Month. Big round of applause to everybody that participates in the official start to Lack of Production at Work Month. I'm telling you, people. I'm telling you guys, the ones out there, the ones that are managers, the ones out there that run companies and businesses, I would expect you're going to have a lot of people calling out sick Thursday and Friday. I'm going to tell you right now. March! It's March. And you know what? No better way to start March than with TCU Ohio State, huh? How did we get stuck with the first game during my time slot? Are you kidding me? I always make fun of Chris Ello and Tony Gwynn Jr. having to watch Aztecs basketball during their show. During their time slot. I don't know what I'm going to do. And then, of course, in the women's side of things, UCSD gets to play TCU too. So that's, would it be frowned upon? Would it be frowned upon if I wore TCU stuff on Friday?
Was that wrong? Should I not have done that? I tell you, I gotta plead ignorance on this thing, because if anyone had said anything to me at all when I first started here that sort of thing was frowned upon, because I've worked in a lot of offices, and I tell you, people do that all the time.
It might be me on Friday for women's basketball. Anyway, March Madness is going to get underway this week. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun to be a part of, obviously, with San Diego hosting. It's going to be great. Arizona's here. How about Rick Pitino in the house, huh? Rick Pitino coming with St. John's? That'll be fun. We'll talk more about that later on in the show. World Baseball Classic last night. I was locked in the entire time. You know what? I'm so old now, Frank, I recorded the game because I was doing USD Oregon State baseball. So I was sitting there. I love technology. I got to set the DVR from my phone, recorded the game, watched a little bit of tape delay. I had to watch the selection show via tape delay because I love doing it ever since I was a kid. I love the selection show. I mean, these are the things that I had to give up yesterday, in calling the baseball game. But I went back, I watched the selection show, and then when that was done, I rolled into the WBC. I didn't even catch up. I was trying to catch up the whole time. That game was moving quick. But that was fun last night. I mean, what an electric atmosphere last night for Team USA and the Dominican Republic. I was sitting there as a Padres fan, a little nervous about maybe Fernando coming up to take on Mason Miller. I wanted to see that matchup for fun. Man, did the Dominican get a little low.
a little?
It's a little low.
A little.
Have you seen the side angle of the pitch?
I saw the MLB.com pitch track of the pitch.
The side angle of the pitch, the ball goes over his front foot. Over his front knee. It's too close to look at with two strikes. But I tell you what, if they have ABS, Perdomo's doing this, and Fernando's coming up with runners on first and third in the ninth inning against Mason Miller. So I do think the Dominican got a little bit hosed on that one.
But again, as I saw somebody post last night, did you really want Mason Miller versus Fernando in that spot? Because somebody, if say there's a strikeout, Fernando might be ruined. If Fernando ropes one, Mason Miller might be ruined. It's a vibes killer.
What?
It's a vibes killer.
How? Giving up a hit to your teammate is a vibes killer?
Yeah, you never know.
What do you mean? Like, are you saying...
It's better to avoid that spot. Now, was it not?
You're overthinking this. Are you saying that these athletes are not mentally tough enough to face one of their teammates?
You saw what happened with Ohtani and Trout, did you not? Trout's barely played since then.
The Angel, yeah, but he was already like that. He was already on the decline. Come on.
I'm feeding into a bit. Can you please run with it?
No, you're getting called out in the chat, in the YouTube chat that we broadcast on YouTube. I just really? I can't believe it. All right, let's get to the Aztecs, all right? I've been trying to put this off as long as possible. Where's Go Aztecs? Where's Sam? Where's all my Aztec followers in here? I want to start the show with this. After the recap of the full week, we had a lot of stuff to recap, but we got so much to talk about the next couple of days with March Madness coming up. Yep, Sam, better lock in, dude. Somebody strap him to the chair and make him watch this. Let me start the show with this. The season for San Diego State Aztecs men's basketball unfortunately didn't end on the court. It ended yesterday on the TV screen. It ended with the Selection Sunday seeding the bracket and seeing the bracket revealed, waiting, hoping, and then finally seeing San Diego State appear in the graphic that nobody wants to see, and that is the first four out. Right there behind Oklahoma and Auburn. And just like that, the Aztecs season is over. No NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament. No March Madness. No Miracle Run. Just another long off season. And honestly, one of the most disappointing seasons in the history of this program. Now, let me start with this because I want to be fair. Did I think there was a chance San Diego State could sneak in yesterday? I did. I thought after they beat New Mexico with some of the metrics, if things kind of played their way, they might be able to sneak in. Maybe with the committee evaluating the Mountain West Conference. I mean, surely this is a conference that's not a conference that was only going to get one team in, right? They're not a one-bid league. Not when the WCC's getting 3 teams in. The Atlantic 10's getting a couple of teams in. Right? Well, when you look at the metrics, and when you looked at the metrics, 22 wins, second place in the conference regular season, reaching the championship game of the Mountain West Conference men's basketball tournament, they had a reasonable argument. 47 in the net, 48 in Ken Palm, and they had 9 quad 1 and quad 2 wins. Those are numbers that sometimes get you in the field, but here's the other truth. San Diego State did not deserve to make the tournament. And I think most honest Aztec fans know that. Because this team had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to lock up an NCAA bid. How many times did Frank have to talk about the luck of fools? How many times? And then they didn't do it. They lost 4 or 5 games late in the season when the resume needed momentum. They had chances against quality teams. They had the Mountain West title game with everything on the line. Win that game, and there's no conversation today. You're dancing. Instead, you lost. And when you leave your fate in the hands of the selection committee, you're taking a gamble. This year, that gamble didn't pay off. And when the bracket was revealed, it became official. The Aztecs missed the tournament for the first time in years. That snaps a streak of 5 straight NCAA tournament appearances under Brian Dutcher. And if we're being honest, this season never quite felt right from the start. The offense struggled. The roster never fully clicked. There were flashes, sure. But there was never that identity we've come to expect from San Diego State basketball. And, of course, injuries certainly didn't help. Miles Heide breaks his hand in the conference tournament. LZ Harrington was shut down. Miles Bird played through injuries. By the end of the year, this team was banged up, worn down, and frankly running out of gas. But injuries alone don't explain why this season became such a disappointment. The reality is simpler. The roster just wasn't good enough. And that's where the conversation has to go now. Because in today's version of college basketball, the NIL era, the transfer portal era, the roster turnover era, programs have to be honest with themselves. And I think San Diego State needs to hit the reset button. Not tweak the roster, reset it. I mean, look at this team, honestly. Outside of LZ Harrington, who might be leaving anyway, I don't know if there's a single player I'm prioritizing bringing back. And that's harsh, but that's the reality of modern college athletics. Roster turnover is normal now. Programs rebuild every year. And San Diego State is about to enter a completely different world next season when they move into the Pac-12 conference. And guess what? They're no longer the big dog of the conference. No, that's Gonzaga. The competition is changing. The financial landscape is changing. The expectations are changing, which means the roster has to change too. That means reinvesting NIL money. That means attacking the transfer portal aggressively. That means bringing in players who can elevate this program immediately. Because the truth is, the gap between the power conference and the mid-majors is getting bigger every year. Just look at the numbers this year. Look who made the tournament. The SEC got 10 teams in the NCAA tournament. The Big Ten got 9. The Big 12 and the ACC got 8 each. Meanwhile, mid-majors received only 4 at-large bids. 4. That's the lowest number since the tournament expanded to 68 teams. And the Mountain West got squeezed. 7 teams won 20 games or more. 7. But the league ended up with just 1 NCAA bid. Parity killed the conference. And that's the irony. Parity is great for power conferences. You get to see teams like SMU make the NCAA tournament. You get to see teams that have been average at best all season long in Auburn be in conversation for an at-large bid because of parity. You get to see teams like TCU and UCF who got off to terrible starts to their season be able to just play around 500 basketball in their conference and then make it easily. But for mid-major leagues, parity destroys NCAA resumes. And that's exactly what happened to San Diego State. Good team, solid team, but not good enough to stand out. And when the committee had to decide between the Aztecs and mediocre power conference teams, guess who they picked? They picked mediocre power conference teams. And that's the reality of the system. Now, let me say one more thing before we move on to our next segment. I completely agree with San Diego State's decision to decline the NIT. I have no issue with that whatsoever. In fact, that's the right move. 20 years ago, the NIT meant something. 15 years ago, the NIT meant something. 10 years ago, the NIT meant something. I'd even say that 5 years ago, the NIT actually meant something. It was prestigious. Programs wanted to win it. You got an opportunity to play at Madison Square Garden if you made the Final Four. Now, it's basically a consolation tournament with half of the best teams opting out. It's basically mid-major madness. And unless players are getting compensated with NIL, unless there's real NIL money involved, or unless the school gets a massive payout, what exactly is the incentive? Risk further injury? I mean, San Diego State's already beat up, and you don't even know if any of those guys are staying. Especially with the transfer portal. So you risk injury to play in the NIT, to extend a disappointing season you've already had, play meaningless games when the transfer portal is about to explode. It just doesn't make any sense anymore. And Brian Dutcher said it plainly. This team is beat up physically. The goal was always the NCAA tournament, and that didn't happen. So the season ends here. And honestly, that's probably the right place for it to end. Because now it becomes the important part. The reset, the rebuild, the reallocation of NIL, the rethinking of the roster. San Diego State basketball has been one of the most consistent programs in the country for 2 decades. But this season showed something clearly. Standing still isn't an option anymore. Not in modern college basketball, not with the transfer portal, not with NIL, not with conference realignment. No. The next version of the Aztecs basketball has to be better. And it starts now. Because the most disappointing season in recent San Diego State history is finally over. And the work to fix it begins today. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Frank, I look at this season for San Diego State, it was completely disappointing. It was really disappointing. And honestly, I think most fans were already disappointed coming into Selection Sunday anyway, that the reason for hope wasn't really there when the selection committee started announcing what the brackets were.
No, and I had mentioned it a while ago that if you were to make the tournament, how far were you really going to get with this team? And now that since then injuries had mounted up and other things, but this felt like a one and done team all season long. I mean, they played close games and lost games that they should never have lost or that never should have been close. And I agreed with you yesterday that the Mountain West over its history has been too good to just have one team, but that was not the case this year. I thought that making the final was going to be just enough for San Diego State to be able to get in, and they didn't. I looked through the bracket several times. First, of course, looking for Hofstra. Second, then looking for San Diego State to see where they ended up. And I went through it like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, wait a minute, they're not here. And it was a little surprising to me, but it wasn't something that couldn't have happened. It was surprising, but it wasn't. Like the thought that they could miss out was definitely there. And that's the way it went down, unfortunately.
San Diego State at this point in time needs somebody that can really take over a game offensively. They haven't had one of those since, relatively their big run that they had. And the other thing, too, when you look at that team that they had with the big run, they had size. Magoon Guath is tall. Magoon Guath is not thick or strong enough to handle some of the big dudes that you have to play. I mean, I've watched a lot of Big 12 basketball this year. San Diego State does not have anybody those size. I mean, Farrell Compton's decent size, but you need like more than just one of those guys, and they got to be like dominant in the paint. They don't have any of those players. Now, here's the thing. The Aztecs have NIL. It's not like they don't have NIL. This is not a we're not spending money conversation. This is we have to spend the money and reallocate it in a way where we could get the players that make the biggest impact in college basketball. And I think, and Sam in the YouTube chat brought it up a couple of days. This is one of the first years they didn't hit on the transfers. They didn't hit on the transfers. And unfortunately for the Aztecs, they are not in a position where they can miss on transfers. So right now, they got to really reset. Even if, and this is where I disagree with you, Frank, a little bit, even if they weren't going to make it far in the tournament, every round you make is like $4 million in your pocket. So like just making the tournament's huge for them in general. That needs to be the goal every single year for this program. So even if they made the tournament, got smoked, it's still better than not making the NCAA tournament.
Agreed.
And I do have to say this. I agree with a lot of people on the Miami of Ohio situation, and not because it directly affects the Aztecs, but the reality of the situation is Miami of Ohio didn't play anybody all year, and they're in on principle because they won 31 games. Well, 3 of those games weren't even games that were against D1 schools. They won 28 games.
They're also in a play-in game, too.
Well, it's because they threw them a bone, because I think the backlash of mid-majors not getting in at this rate, as well as the fact that if you win 31 games, it's still not good enough. They just didn't want to deal with the headache of average people that don't understand metrics complaining about Miami of Ohio. I mean, they did that to save themselves. They threw them a bone. They're like, here, go play SMU. If you win, you deserve to be in. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And the other thing, too, Bruce Pearl was absolutely ridiculous yesterday. It's like, we get it, dude. You appointed your son to take over for you at Auburn. I get why you want them to make the tournament, but let's not sit here and pretend like they actually deserve to be in the NCAA tournament because they beat Florida one time. Give me a break. We'll talk more about March Madness as the show continues. We're going to talk WBC. We got Padres spring training to break down. We got lots to get to. Want to get your phone calls to 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Braden Surprenant Show off and rolling on a Monday. San Diego Summer Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. We got a lot to break down when it comes to college basketball in the next couple of days. We got Padres baseball to dive into. We're closer and closer to opening day. It's great. I hope the weather holds up. I hope, Ben and Woods were talking about that because we're going to be out at Baja Ricks on opening day for the Tigers game. Even if it's hot, like Ben was concerned about it being hot. I agree with Woods. As long as it doesn't rain, I'm there. I'm in. It's good. It's a lot better. Any type of rain delay. which I would not expect to see. Are we 10 days out at least now with the deal? Or are we close to the 10-day forecast?
I believe so.
We're 1 day off. We're 11 days out.
11 days out.
It says 77 degrees on Wednesday next week. Take that for what it's worth. It's supposed to be like 90 degrees tomorrow. You okay? You going to be able to make it through?
Why do you hate me by saying things like that?
I don't hate you. I want to make sure you're okay.
Yeah, I'll be fine.
All right. Sounds good. All right. I do want to get to your phone calls about this, and then we're going to talk some, Padre baseball in a little bit as well. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We were talking about the situation at hand with Aztec basketball. It sounds like they are going to make it almost official now with the Padres. Let's just interrupt real quick. It sounds like the Musgrove starting the season on the IL officially. That's being reported by Dennis Lynn. I heard that over the weekend from a reporter in town that we can trust. And he said this weekend, Frank, that he thought Musgrove was going to start on the IL. Is that anything really that breaking compared to what we talked about on Friday?
No, and I think especially with them saying the second that he's not ready for a next start, or the fact they've got him in a holding pattern, I think that was your first sign that he's going to the IL to start the year. I don't think that there was much debating it after that. I thought he was IL bound for sure after that.
I think so too. Dennis Lynn says Joe Musgrove expected to open the season on the injured list. Craig Stammen said Joe Musgrove, who did not recover as well as hoped after his March 4th start against Great Britain, hasn't thrown in little more than a week. I think they're trying to do a lot to make sure he's ready to go for the whole year more than anything else. I don't think he re-aggravated or injured anything, but I think that, as we talked about on Friday, we literally talked about this on Friday, I think that solidifies that Walker Buehler's on this team. And now the battle is Armand Marquez, JP Sears, right? Matt Waldron, but he might start on the injured list as well. And Marco Gonzalez. Marco Gonzalez, man, this weekend. Oh, boy. Did you see that stat line? It was in the split squad game that wasn't on television.
Yeah, it was in the split squad game that you don't want to remember.
Not only that, Logan Gillespie got roughed up a little bit too, so that was also not great. Rangers had like a 22-2 lead in that split squad game.
Yep,
at that point in time. That was the final. Yeah, We'll talk more Padres baseball in a second. Let's get to the phone call on Aztec basketball. Disappointing season, obviously didn't make the NCAA tournament. Let's get to the phones. Kevin in Chula Vista wants to weigh in. Kevin, what's going on?
Well, guys, good morning, and not surprising, disappointing, but not surprising given the trajectory that they were on. Concur with your opening comments about just the state of affairs where they're at this point. I would say that, as Mark Ziegler pointed out, or maybe it was Tom Krasavik, it was Krasavik in his column this morning, they've got to find some three-point shooters that are deadly assassins in shooting, and they haven't had that for quite some time. So when you go back and look at the disparity in the statistical makeup of this team, where they were somewhere around 16th in the nation in defense, but then the offense drops all the way above 100 and something. And I can't remember what the final number was, but it's up there. You can't expect this team to be so lopsided and then be able to then progress into a higher level of competition with that kind of imbalance. And that's basically the way they played all year. Just with a lot of imbalance. And they've got to do, this coaching staff, as good as they are, they missed on some of these players, clearly. And they had a lot of problems trying to get these guys to gel and play together consistently. And I think that in review of that, Brian and staff really need to take a look at the kind of player that they recruit. They need to be more capable than just being a great playground athlete. And that's been my criticism of this program actually for quite some time. There's not enough basketball players. You've got a lot of great athletes. There's a big difference there. And I compare them, and I'll let you go after this. I don't look at them comparing them with the big power schools I look at them in the Mountain West Conference. And the Mountain West Conference, as I said, those other teams, Braden, are finding basketball players somewhere, somehow, despite all of the nil up and down and craziness. You've got teams out there in the Mountain West that are finding these players. And the Aztecs, if we're being honest, are lacking in a lot of those areas that the Mountain West schools have surpassed them. So that's how I see it at this point. It'd be interesting to hear your take.
Yeah, I think they need to evaluate how, what type of players that fit this program now. Because for a long time, and I think it worked, a long time it was very athletic players that might have a couple of different things that power schools didn't want to, abilities that the Power 4 schools didn't necessarily want. And we're going to teach them to play really good defense. We're going to let them do whatever they want on offense. I mean, that's kind of what Aztec basketball has been for a long time. They need to get more size, though, if they want to compete at a higher level. And the difference is you can't compare Aztec basketball with Duke, right? Can't compare them to Arizona. You can't compare them to some of the top seeds in the NCAA tournament. But you can't compare them to the Mountain West and the future Pac-12. And you can't get outbid for players by those schools. They can't have the players that you need and you come up empty when it comes to getting a guy that could score, getting some presence in the paint, right? I mean, these are the two areas that have been difficult for the Aztecs in the last couple of years. They've always played good defense, and this year they didn't. They didn't play good defense. They had a couple of spots where they did, but really the entire season didn't play a lot of great defense. Offense was very hit and miss. They got to be a lot more consistent, and they have to be able to hit the transfer portal. And here's the other thing. I mean, all mid-major programs now, and I'm seeing this on a daily basis when I call games at the D1 level, the mid-majors are producing young talent because that's what they could get in recruiting. They make them good, and the big schools pluck them off. If you're a mid-major, you got to start hitting the transfer portal a little bit harder than the high school recruiting. Because at this point, in terms of strategy, Frank, I don't understand why any mid-major program would ever recruit a high school kid. I really don't. Why? So you could develop them for the big guys? It makes no sense. Unless you can keep that kid for 4 years, which is almost impossible, I don't know why any program really recruits high school kids.
Well, I mean, you'd think the lower major conferences would, and then just use them as a pipeline for everybody else. But it is a big factor that San Diego State is now going to have to dive fully into, which is this transfer portal. And for San Diego State, it's going to be very, very big this year. You do have a couple of big players leaving, just graduating, and then the rest of the roster's pretty much up in the air from that point. So you're going to have to rebuild, and you're also put on a back foot a little bit. Well, not necessarily the back foot, but you also really have to stretch yourself because you've heard the commitment now that USD is giving to the transfer portal. You would have to assume with UC San Diego going into the same conference that they're not going to want to be behind. They are going to want to step up and really put some money into NIL. If you want to remain the number one school in this city, you're going to have to put some serious money into NIL in order to compete with just the teams in your city.
Well, not only that, and even in the conference. Yes. I mean, I keep warning people, and nobody wants to listen. Gonzaga getting a full share of money from TV and only having basketball is a massive problem. It is a massive problem. So while you're spending money on football, which you have to do if you're San Diego State, Gonzaga's pumping all that money into just basketball. And so they're going to get a better contract than they did in the WCC. That's a given. I mean, you're going to have a better TV contract in the West Coast Conference. And this is what they're doing right now with their current West Coast Conference contract. What happens when they get more money now because they're going to be the top dog in the Pac-12? And they don't have football. So as much as San Diego State's like, oh, we're going to be able to trade blows with Gonzaga, you better start spending more money if you want to hang with Gonzaga because they're going to have way more resources now with this new deal. Something to talk about, something to pay attention for. We'll talk about that later. We got news from Craig Stammen. We saw Dennis Lin tweet it. Padres rotation takes a little bit of a shakeup. We'll talk about it next. I want to mention all guests on 97 through the Fan join us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not big bank banking, it's better. We're going to take a quick break from NCAA Tournament coverage and Aztec basketball conversation to get you some Padres news that we talked about briefly in the last segment. And we also talked about briefly last week. Now, I have to say, Juan in Oceanside called in about a month ago, Frank. And he had this inclination of this potentially happening, therefore opening up opportunities in the starting rotation. So he did have it first. I don't know what he maybe he could tell the future. We'll see. Hopefully he's predicting the Padres winning a World Series. That'd be great. But Craig Stammen announced today a little news about Joe Musgrove. And here is Craig Stammen meeting with the media earlier this morning in Peoria.
So on Joe, does he start on the IL? What's the plan on that?
Yeah, he's most likely going to start on the IL this year. I mean, it's, we're getting to the point where he's taking enough time off that it'd be hard to ramp him up, to get him to be a viable starter that can throw 5 innings, 90 pitches. So, like I said, this was part of the plan.
Right.
And we knew he was going to have to take some time off. We knew we were going to have to get him ready for the entire season and not just opening day.
What's it do to your rotation?
Well, we've got a lot of depth. We've got a lot of competition here in spring training. It's been fun to watch, and guys are competing for spots. We'll miss Joe at the beginning, but we're going to have Joe at some point during the season.
So when do you pick spots?
When do what?
When do you pick spots in your rotation?
Well, we'll probably pick spots probably the day before opening day.
You wait that long? Okay.
Oh, yeah, we'll wait all the way until we have to make a decision. I think it's probably smart to wait as long as you can to make decisions because you never know what could happen in between that time period. So we're going to be smart, we're going to be patient, and we're going to try to make the best decision we can make with all the information.
Nice. When are you going to make that decision? I don't know, probably in June, maybe? Probably in June. July? When should we make that decision, Frank? When should we make the rotation decision? When do you think he's going to make the rotation decision?
I was thinking September, honestly.
No, maybe October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next November sounds pretty solid.
It's a little late. It's a little late for me.
No.
A little late for me.
I mean, you could never be too late on a decision.
Maybe Halloween. It's got to be before November.
I'll take it for Halloween. That's
all right.
Fine. Yeah, Halloween's a good point.
Sounds good. All right. You're going to tell Craig to... You want me to email Craig or... You got it?
No, I think you can.
All right,
I think you got it. You've had some interactions with him.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
I'm sure he is. I can't wait to meet him.
All right. I can't believe that was the... When do you think you're going to have... Come on. Come on. Okay. Enough of that. All right. So Joe Musgrove's going to start on the injured list. Okay. I wouldn't consider this super breaking news. I really wouldn't. I think it's a formality at this point. We started to get the rumblings about this a couple of weeks ago. I heard it again this weekend from a reporter in town, and he said he's starting on the IL. I mean, almost like it was official. And so today, when Dennis Lin tweeted out that Joe Musgrove's going to start on the injured list, and you heard it from Craig Stammen right there, it's not crazy. Which means it's even more important that Armand Marquez and Walker Buehler continue to have good outings. Now, Walker Buehler pitches today. Again, another important start for Walker Buehler. I think he's already part of the rotation. And so now your rotation is Pivetta, King, Vasquez. I think Vasquez has looked great in spring training.
He's been fantastic. He really has been.
His velo's been up. I mean, I could see Vasquez being part of the top of this rotation at some point during the year. That doesn't mean he's going to dominate from the get-go. I mean, he could struggle against Detroit in that first weekend, whenever they decide to put the rotation out there. Maybe before opening day. I can't get over that. I can't get over that line of questioning right there. It just really... I don't want to say it grinds my gears. I just go like, do we ever think about how many here's your signs do we have to give for some of these deals? And here's your sign. Okay. Pivetta, King, Vasquez. I think Buehler's the guy. And then it's like Marco Gonzalez or Armand Marquez. Now, Armand Marquez struggled a little bit, but he had a lot of things not go his way over the weekend. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that a little bit. Tristan McKenzie still battling for a spot. I mean, I think this definitely opens the door for a guy like Tristan McKenzie to potentially sneak on this team, Frank. And at the same point, we talked about Marco Gonzalez with the left-hander, also minor league guy in terms of what his contract is. He had a rough time over the weekend. So where it comes down to, it's got to be Armand Marquez, Tristan McKenzie, JP Sears, Marco Gonzalez, and Armand Marquez still, I think, has the elite path to the rotation because he signed a major league deal. And I agree with Ben from this morning. He said if Armand Marquez, and this is before the news, of course, but he said if Armand Marquez is a player that Ruben Nieva thinks he can get right, they're going to keep him part of the organization, and they're going to keep rolling him out there. They're not just going to roll him out there just to say, just because they have nobody else. They're going to keep rolling him out there because they believe they can make something happen. And I'm going to have to trust in Ruben Nieva on that one, to be honest with you. But it's an interesting decision. Interesting decision coming up of who's going to be the final rotation spot. And this throws it a little added wrinkle, but it's not overly surprising, the news today, Frank.
No. And like we said last segment, this was more or less expected. And I think once you heard that he was kind of in a holding pattern, that this was going to be the end result, is that he was going to start on the IL. Bottom line is you don't need him in April. You need him in September. You need him in August. You need him hopefully in October. You don't need him right now. So if you do kind of a similar thing to what you did with Yu Darvish, granted for different reasons, like you did last year where he comes back in late May, early June, fine. At least he's healthy, he's ready, and he's got plenty of bullets in the cannon for him to fire come the end of the season.
I think your rotation's already been, unless something crazy happens, I think Walker Buehler's going to be your number 4 starter, and I think Armand Marquez is going to be your 5. And I think if Armand Marquez is so bad during the first couple of weeks, and you don't think you can get him right for the season, I think they might start mixing in some bullpen days until Griffin Canning shows up. But at this point in time, this is the type of decision that, we have said this a couple of times already. These things usually have a way of working themselves out when it comes to trying to keep guys part of this team. And right now, Joe Musgrove going on the injured list has a way of working itself out of getting Walker Buehler on the roster and a guy like Armand Marquez on the roster. So I look at this as an opportunity to have extended tryout for that starting rotation spot, not only with the end of spring, but also for probably the first month of the year, because when Griffin Canning does come back, they're going to have to make a decision. And then when Joe Musgrove comes back, whenever that may be, they're going to have to make another decision in the middle of the season. And it's going to be it's going to make a lot more sense with data from the regular season than just outings in spring training where, are they working on something? Or are they not working on something? How much are they going to use I was working on something as an excuse it's too much in the air for trying to evaluate guys in spring training because you don't know how the Padres are evaluating these guys, especially the ones that are coming off of injury.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you've known for a little while here who was going to be in this starting rotation. I think the last one really was Walker Buehler, was the last one that you needed to really decide on. And again, he's going to go again today. This afternoon, he's facing Tyler Mahle today for San Francisco. But you've had an inkling that you knew what this rotation was going to be. You just didn't know if it was going to be with or without Joe Musgrove at the start. And like we discussed, the 6-man rotation thing, these things kind of have a way of working themselves out. This is it working itself out.
I just don't hope it's like a little bit of a set. It might be a minor setback for Joe. I mean, we don't know. We'll never know. But I think there's something to be said about the fact that this is not like a recent thing. He had the whole year last year. Maybe it was a little bit ahead of schedule for some of his rehab. But, the fact that it wasn't immediate, like the recovery was different after the outing that he had that was surprising to them or wasn't where they want it to be. I think it's a little bit of being overcautious, but it is a little surprising how he hadn't been able to pitch since. And I think they're being extra cautious. I mean, they've invested a lot of money in Joe, and they need him throughout the entire season. I don't think it's time to panic if you're a Padres fan with the rotation. It does raise a little bit of an eyebrow, but I also think the fact that the Padres have some options in the rotation leads to them to be able to do something like this and be able to make a decision like this. So we'll see what happens with the rotation. We'll see when they decide to set the rotation, Frank. Maybe in May, maybe in June. Who knows?
I'm still banking on October. Do it during the All-Star break. Why not?
Right. But until then, it's like you got to hope that Walker Buehler continues to do well. I think Walker Buehler is going to do well this season. I think not only is he going to make, I think he's going to find a way to stay on this team. I've liked what I've seen, but the reality is he's not Walker Buehler they had in LA. This is a different form of Walker Buehler. This is one that's going to be a lot more with the stuff, a lot more with the breaking balls and getting guys out that way and not blowing fastballs by anybody. And when you evaluate Walker Buehler like that and you watch him pitch, knowing that, it's a lot different. It's a lot different watching him in these spring outings. So today's a big day, again, for Walker Buehler, I think, to ease the minds of Padres fans, especially after things not going Germán Marquez's way over the weekend. But the next Germán Marquez outing is going to be interesting. And again, Tristan McKenzie from over the weekend. We'll talk more Padres baseball here in the next hour. But you know what? It's a good thing that Randy Vasquez is having a good spring. But there's also isn't Lucas Giolito still available? I think it'd be more concerning if the Padres went and signed Giolito. Did he sign over the weekend?
I don't know. Hold on.
I don't think he signed with anybody. And if he did, it happened this weekend. Maybe they did they sign? Did Atlanta sign him?
I'm seeing today that they're predicted to sign.
Yeah, they might. I've seen the might
to sign him.
They're predicted to sign him.
That's interesting. I thought Giolito had signed a while ago.
No, he had not signed.
Huh. Son of a gun.
I think that would be a panic move at that point. But we'll see. That's the news today. Joe Musgrove is starting on the injured list. Not totally surprising, but we'll see how the rest of the rotation plays out. It gives another opportunity for these guys that are competing in the rotation. I think it solidifies Walker Buehler making the team. Now it's going to come down to Germán Marquez and Marco Gonzalez and Tristan McKenzie, JP Sears battling for that last spot. Griffin Canning, of course, on the horizon. Talk more Padres baseball when we come back. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We are broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, and also we are talking some Padres baseball here. Second hour of the Monday show. Always great coming back from the weekend. A lot of great sports to talk about over the weekend. Unfortunately for the Aztecs, they did not make the NCAA tournament. We talked about that in the open. I laid out everything that I think San Diego State needs to do here as they start their offseason for basketball to try to get themselves back in the NCAA tournament. If you missed any of that, you could go to our YouTube page at B_SURP, youtube.com/@B_SURP. Do us a favor, subscribe to our YouTube page. Really does a big favor for us, of course, but also at the same time, we have tons of content and a lot of content coming your way in the next 24 hours or so on YouTube that is specifically for YouTube, where we cover all the other sports here in town. We have a lot of stuff on there on our YouTube page. Again, we cover UCSD, USD, San Diego State, and what's going on in their sports. We talk about the goals on there, some added stuff with San Diego FC on there. So we got a lot of different sports topics that we don't have time to get to on our 4-hour talk show each and every day, because obviously we have a lot of Padres stuff, mix in with some other things as well. But that's where we go to post all that stuff. And we also repost some of our segments from the show too that you might have missed. So it's a lot easier to get to if you go to YouTube, youtube.com/@B_SURP. Give us a subscribe. It's free to subscribe. It's not, you don't have to pay anything. It's free to do. And it really helps us out. So, and the other thing too, is it makes it a lot easier for you guys to access our content. So when you log on to YouTube, bang, there it is. There's all our stuff. But you can listen to our show in a lot of different ways. We are on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcast. All of our shows are in podcast form as well. So if you missed anything, you can go back and listen. You can go back and watch. You can also rewind if you download our Odyssey app. So really appreciate you guys doing that. Be sure to follow us on social media at B_SURP. You can follow Frank Marchese as well at FMarks324, Marchese324 on social media. You can also follow us at the Braden Surprenant Show at B_SURP show. So a lot of that to get out of the way here, but it really helps us out. Again, trying to grow the show. We're already 1 year in as the midday show here on 97.3 The Fan. So we appreciate you guys doing that. We got a lot of extra content on social media. We do want to dive more into the Padres conversation again with some different things going on in Padres land. Go Aztecs in the YouTube chat. The other thing too with being on YouTube is you can instant message us immediately, and we might be able to read your comments on air. We do that a lot. Go Aztecs on Twitch. We are broadcasting live on Twitch. Go Aztecs was our only Twitch streamer. We got a couple more now. Go Aztecs has some buddies over there on Twitch. We have 3. We've had 3 for the last week or so. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, though. So if you could do that, it would help us out. I don't know. We're at 8 something right now. So again, youtube.com/B_SURP on YouTube. Anyway, Go Aztecs on the chat that we see and we have access to goes, Italian food tonight for the WBC. I do have some leftover cutlets, which, by the way, I've been told that they're not not specifically cutlets, whatever. It's a piece of chicken that's fried Italian style with Parmesan cheese and stuff like that. Frank, isn't that a cutlet? What defines a cutlet exactly?
That.
Isn't that what a cutlet is?
Yes.
I was told by an Italian from Pittsburgh, says not a cutlet. He listed a whole text.
He draws the foul.
You know what? So I was told that he had beef with us saying that's not a cutlet. And then I was like, well, what's his beef on it? And then they didn't tell me what the beef was. Or the chicken in this particular case.
It's from Pittsburgh.
Doesn't count as an Italian? Because he's from Pitt?
Yeah.
Okay. He's not a New Yorker or New Jersey Italian,
No.
so it doesn't count?
Sorry. Or an Italian.
No. It's called Sugu. It's not called. Smash the numbers in the chat. Does Braden Frank call tomato sauce gravy? Absolutely not.
God, no.
Absolutely not. That's a foul for even bringing that up.
He draws the foul.
Yeah. I think we got the chicken cutlet taken care of. I might make a chicken cutlet sandwich today. You know?
Okay.
Maybe that's the play.
Again, incorrect. Sanguiche. Let's get it right here. Let's pronounce it properly.
All right. But anyway, I'm still waiting for the rebuttal on what a chicken cutlet really is. Yeah, guys from Pittsburgh. So you know what? Doesn't count, huh?
Nope.
Doesn't count. All right, let's get to some Padres baseball news. Before we dive into what happened over the weekend for the Padres in spring training, last night, WBC was great. The Italians play tonight. They're going with Aaron Nola tonight. Michael Lorenzen if they make it to the championship. Although, Frank, they did say if they're in a bind, they might go Lorenzen after Aaron Nola, which is interesting. I'm excited to watch that game tonight, but last night's game was fun. We got to see 3 Padres playing it, Manny, Fernando, and Mason Miller. Mason Miller looked great last night. The walk hurt him a little bit, but he was able to seal the deal for Team USA. And Craig Stammen was asked about Mason Miller in the WBC. Here's what Craig Stammen had to say.
You guys talked to DeRosa or Team USA about his status for Tuesday?
Yeah, we've talked to Mason. I've texted with him this morning. We're going to get together, chat about that. I know he wants to pitch. We'll see. We'll make a good decision. And, based on how he feels today and tomorrow. And, we'll see if he closes it out for USA on Wednesday.
So it hasn't been ruled
out?
Totally
Not ruled out, not decided. How we do with every pitcher. We evaluate them after their outing, see how they feel. And then calculate when their next outing is going to be. So he's in that same boat.
Is it difficult doing that at a distance?
Yeah, it's very difficult. And you've got, the whole country wants Mason Miller to pitch the 9th inning on Wednesday. And you've got Mark DeRosa, who's, gets taken through the woodshed a little bit with the media on like how he uses players. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes on who he can pitch, when he can pitch, and how he can pitch them.
Yeah, I think DeRosa and any manager of that team takes a lot of guff for no reason.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the control.
Yeah, they've got a tough job. They're managing that team right now, but they're not the manager of the player,
Right, exactly.
Overall in Major League Baseball. So definitely a tough position for him and Andy managing the pitching staff. They've done a great job so far. They've been very communicative with us and understanding of our situation with Mason, and I'm sure with the rest of the pitchers on the staff.
Mark DeRosa gets his guff because he's a fool who didn't know the rules of the tournament that he's managing in, not the way he's managing the players.
Well, I did hear from a I did hear some complaints when Mason Miller threw in one of those games that was a blowout, and I can't believe that. What a waste of Mason Miller. They're using him in this game. It's a blowout. They have to, the bullpen arms, you have to be somewhat fresh the whole time. The bullpen is not being used by Team USA like a regular team in the season would use a bullpen. They're being used as, okay, when does this guy need to throw his pen to be ready to go? Like, he has to pitch. He can't, I asked every time because people like Padres fans are upset about, well, Mason Miller didn't come in and pitch why was he being used in a game that was like a 10-run game? Was that against Brazil or something like that? My response was, well, would you rather just have him sit back there and not pitch until they need him? And then he's not getting his work in like he would normally be doing in spring training? No, let him pitch. Who cares? I'd be hard pressed to see if he pitches on tomorrow in the final. I think they might use him for a little bit, maybe. I think that has to get cleared with the Padres, though. And if you're the Padres right now with some of the injuries you have had in the rotation and in the bullpen, I don't necessarily know if the Padres are going to be super stoked about Mason Miller throwing again tomorrow. But who knows? Maybe he thinks he's ready to go. That's going to be a lot of consulting, if you will.
That, and you also can give him like extra days off now before the season starts. I mean, you still have a week and a half before the year starts. He'll be coming back, say Wednesday or Thursday. You could theoretically not have him pitch again for another week just to make sure he's ready to go, and then at least have him go once before the season starts to make sure everything's all good to go. But there's ways you can finagle, especially bullpen arms, getting them a little bit extra rest if they go too often in this time of year.
Well, let's just look at the calendar here, right? So, like, today's the 16th. Tomorrow's the final.
Yes.
Padres have the day off on the 18th. And then they're back in action on the 19th. I mean, with the only one that's going to be left, right, is either Mason Miller by himself or Mason Miller, Alec Jacob, and Ron Marinaccio. Which, by the way, Italy said if they have to use Lorenzen today, they're going to go bullpen day tomorrow against Team USA, which means you could potentially see all three of the Padre arms in action, which means they would just probably not pitch until probably the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
They have multiple split squads coming up. They got the White Sox on Thursday, and then they got a split squad against the Dodgers and the Rockies on Friday. I mean, they probably wouldn't have to pitch until like the 21st. And then after that, like, what do you have them pitch maybe on the 22nd? I mean, nobody plays in the game against the Mariners on the 23rd. They just leave.
Yeah.
And then they have 2 days off before the regular season starts.
Yeah. I mean, you give him 4 days. I mean, you give him, if he pitches tomorrow, he's got 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 days off. And then if they pitch on the 21st, they have another 3 before opening day, which, I mean, there's no guarantee that they're going to throw on that day either.
Here's my other thing, too. What is the point? Let me ask you this question. We're going to ask just generic questions here. What is the overall point of spring training, right? What is it?
Get guys tuned up and ready to go for the season.
Get them ready for the season. Is there anybody competing in the World Baseball Classic that needs more tune-up time?
No.
At this point?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Especially for guys. You could
For
say
bullpen
maybe
guys and position players, no.
You could maybe say guys that were knocked out of the tournament early, but for like at this point in the tournament, no, you don't need any more tune-up time.
No. I mean, Xander's already back. He played this weekend, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine Machado and Fernando and Wandy Peralta probably show up tomorrow. Maybe they already went. Maybe they already showed up last night. Maybe because I think they left. Did they fly out last night? Probably not. What's the hurry? I mean, they could literally have the next 2 days off and then show up for Thursday, right? If they're not going to play today against the Giants, what do they need to get here to play in a game against a split squad team for the Mariners?
Who is their split squad game?
What do you
these
mean?
Next 2 days? Because it's showing split squad on the schedule, but it's only showing one opponent.
That means that opponent has
that opponent has the split. Okay. Gotcha.
So Seattle's got a split squad game tomorrow, and the White Sox have one on Thursday. The Padres
have one on Friday.
Friday, and that's it. And then you have the breakout game on Saturday after the game against Milwaukee. And at that point, you're not going to see a lot of those guys pitch ever again.
Mm-hmm.
At least the starters, right? Because now you got to get into the rotation. I mean, they asked Craig Stammen today about, like, what do you think the rotation is going to be set at? You're going to start seeing it this week because they're going to get these guys on regular rest, right?
Mm-hmm.
They got to get these guys in a position to do these things. Like, whoever starts, what is like at 5 days, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so whoever pitches Saturday
will most likely be the opening.
Yeah, whoever starts Saturday will be the opening day starter because that's 5 days out from opening day, which means Sunday would be the 2, and then maybe Monday is the 3. Maybe they have Vasquez pitch the 3rd, the last day again on the 23rd. But to me, I think at this point in time, most of these guys are probably ready to go. I mean, Fernando's at-bats last night are way more important. Like, I think those at-bats are getting him way more, like, ready for the season than any at-bat he would get in spring training.
100%.
Same thing with Manny. The pitchers are going against the high energy of the game last night. I mean, that's getting these guys ready for actual baseball more than, seeing some dude that's trying to make a team.
Captain DJ in the chat, has anyone ever been hurt in the World Baseball Classic before the regular season started? See Edwin Diaz.
Yeah, and that was for celebrating.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of sucks. For whatever team he was on that year.
What do you mean whatever team he was on?
Yeah, what team was he on that year?
I believe he's Puerto Rican, is he not?
No. His major league team that year.
Oh, yeah. That was, yeah. Right after said major league team gave him a $100 million contract, too.
Meet the Mets. Meet the Mets.
Yep. Kyle Teal this year. Yes. Yep. Kyle Teal's going to miss the first 2 months.
Hamstring injuries are tough. Surely it wasn't the Mets. How's Altuve got hit in the hand that year.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little worried about Julio Rodriguez last night. A little bit. It's like, wow, the Mariners' torture chamber continues. We have a clubhouse issue with our catcher not acknowledging any of our other players on the team, whether it be Josh Naylor or Randy Arozarena. Oh, and by the way, now Julio Rodriguez got hit in the wrist.
I think
by Paul Skeens.
I think Josh Naylor was just continuing the bit at that point.
Oh, if I'm Josh Naylor, I absolutely am trying to dap up Cal Raleigh.
Because if you're Josh Naylor, because if you're Cal Raleigh, you have a bigger problem if you do dap up Josh Naylor than if you just don't.
See, that's the thing. Josh Naylor knows two things if he tries to give Cal Raleigh knucks. One, he's going to say no, and he's going to pretend to be locked in. So then it creates the controversy of like, he's not doing today's players. That was ridiculous. Or number two, he does dap you up, and now there's an even bigger problem on their hands in Seattle. Nice. All right, we want to get to a lot of different things from the weekend in terms of the Padres. Again, the big news today, if it's really that big of news, is Craig Stammen met with the media, talked about Joe Musgrove. And he said he's likely to start this season on the injured list, which was part of the plan. He said, we knew he was going to have to take some time off. We knew we were going to have to get him ready for the entire season, not just opening day. This opens up obviously an opportunity for the starting rotation. It opens up a spot for a Walker Buehler, an Herman Marquez, maybe a Marco Gonzalez, maybe a Tristan McKenzie to fill out the rotation before Griffin Canning comes back, and then eventually Joe Musgrove coming back. So with all that being said, let's take a look at what happened over the weekend. What did you miss this weekend from the San Diego Padres? Well, there was a lot, and we're going to get to that in a second. Nick Pivetta pitched over the weekend. Michael King pitched over the weekend. Marco Gonzalez pitched over the weekend. His wasn't very good. We'll talk about those guys. We'll talk about the bullpen standing out, and we'll talk about some of the offensive standouts because there was a lot still on the offensive side. Some standouts and some concerns with some of the bats over the weekend and through camp. Give you an injury update too. What happened in the baseball world for the Padres? We'll discuss it next on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. 11:23 on a Monday. It's a warm one. It's not even spring yet, and it already feels like summer. Got the summer weather here in San Diego. We got the summer weather for the next couple of days. Protect your casings from overheating. You know, when casings, those naturally cased hot dogs overheat, Frank, they pop.
Yeah, they do.
You got to be careful.
Ask your local microwave.
833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We're going to talk a lot of college basketball tomorrow. We're going to give you everything you need to know about your bracket. Because everybody fills out brackets, right? I mean, it's fun. It's fun to fill out the brackets, all that stuff. So we will get that for you tomorrow. It'll be a good time. We'll get a bigger breakdown of the NCAA bracket coming up in tomorrow's show. Today's going to be a lot of Padres baseball. Of course, we got the WBC final tomorrow with Team USA. That's going to be good. We got a lot of great basketball coming up this week. And this is kind of like the final week of spring training, really. I mean, they will play today. Here's the Padres' remaining schedule for spring training. You got the Giants today. They're going to play Seattle on Tuesday, off day Wednesday. And then they got a game against the White Sox Thursday, a split squad on Friday, a game against the Brewers Saturday, and then they go Sunday, Monday next week. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, they're off. And it's real baseball time in America's finest city. So they got 8 games left. 7 if you're not counting the split squad day. That's it. We have made it through most of spring training. So only a couple games left. Finally. Can't wait for opening day. We're broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. We do want to let you know that all of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. And we're done with the biggest fan, correct? All right. Time to remove that from the...
I did already.
Not the 11:20 teaser.
Oh, my bad.
It's all right. It's all right. No fouls given. No blood, no foul. All right, let's talk about what happened over the weekend for Padres baseball. A lot of different stuff was going on this weekend. And a lot that has to do with position battles, offensively, defensively, pitching-wise, bullpen-wise, starting-wise. Let's take the biggest notes here. Nick Pivetta emerging as the possible opening day starter, it seems like. He returned from his arm fatigue, 94, 96 miles an hour on the gun, went 3+ innings, 4 strikeouts, led the Padres last season in wins, ERA, innings pitched, possibly opening day starter candidate. I think with Joe Musgrove being on the injured list now too, it's even more solidified that Nick Pivetta is going to start opening day, especially with Michael King coming off of an injury. Also, Michael King's outing he had over the weekend. That was on Friday. But I think Nick Pivetta is probably going to be the opening day starter. Is that crazy to say? Am I really going on a limb with that one? Is that really a hot take?
No, I don't think. I mean, like I said, going into spring, you could make the argument for Michael King, but I think Pivetta's more likely to get the nod.
I think Pivetta is, and I think Saturday will be the really official nod that you will see Pivetta being the opening day starter, because that would put him 5 days out. Now, the rotation questions do continue. I don't think really, I'm not that concerned about Michael King until he starts pitching in major league games that actually matter, not these spring training games. But he allowed 3 consecutive home runs in 1 inning on Friday. His spring ERA is 9.95. Are you overly concerned about Michael King? I'm not.
No, not at all.
I'm not.
I haven't seen anything this spring that would be concerning just yet. That wouldn't be outside of the normal he's working on stuff kind of argument.
Now, I think Marco Gonzalez had a great opportunity after the last couple of outings he had to make this team, especially with the news today that Joe Musgrove is going to start on the injured list. But this weekend, not great for Marco Gonzalez in a split squad. Marco Gonzalez on the game that was not on television, the split squad game in which the Padres went away and played the Rangers, Marco Gonzalez allowed 11 runs in 2 innings. 11 runs in 2 innings. That's a major blow to the rotation competition, a major blow to Marco Gonzalez making this team, in my opinion. So that's tough. That's tough. Bullpen arm standing out, though. Jeremiah Estrada, so far in spring after this weekend, 10 strikeouts, 6 2/3 scoreless innings. Love to see that out of Estrada. Bradley Rodriguez, strong spring and effective relief outings. I think he's pushing the narrative and forcing the narrative to try to make this team out of camp. He's got to pitch better than the numbers game, though, because he's got options or other guys don't. Has Bradley Rodriguez pitched to that spot enough to account for somebody else getting cut and not be part of the organization anymore? That will be the question on whether or not Bradley Rodriguez makes his team out of camp or not. David Morgan continued his scoreless work, emerging bullpen option. I think he's going to be on this team anyway, but he is proving to have more and more success each time out he has pitched in spring training. Other news from the weekend of performances. Jackson Wolf emerging as a surprise candidate for this team. Former Padres prospect, brief MLB debut in 2023. He was traded to the Pirates as part of the deal that brought Rich Hill and G-Man Choi over from Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh ended up cutting Jackson Wolf. He got picked up again by the Padres last season. And so far in spring, 7 2/3 scoreless innings. He's improved his command. He's still likely behind Kyle Hart and Logan Gillespie, but he's now in the conversation for bullpen depth, which is also great to see. Again, the competition is starting to put out some players that are making strides and players that are playing their way out of a roster spot. How about Miguel Andujar, Frank, over the weekend? Did you see him?
No, I did not.
Grand slam.
What a boy.
And his OPS is over 1,000 right now. He's been a nice pickup so far for the Padres, albeit spring training, but he has been raking left-handers, which is exactly what he was brought in to do, and he has had a great camp from the start. He was a big offensive standout over the weekend, but not only over the weekend, throughout spring training. Jose Miranda's got an 1156 OPS. He's competing for a bench spot. Nick Schnell is actually the team leader in home runs this spring with 4. All of those players, part of competition, seeing the best of these guys. Now, the Luis Campusano thing's interesting to me because at the beginning of camp, we talked about it. Seemed like he was doing a lot better. Seemed like he was embracing this opportunity. The Padres had flat out said that he is basically the guy in line to get the backup catching role. But I question whether or not him not having to compete for that spot in terms of bringing other catchers in to compete that were legitimate threats to be a backup catcher for the Padres, whether or not that was going to affect Luis Campusano offensively. I don't know. He's hitting 148 right now. And I know it's spring training, but there's a little bit of concern right now for Luis Campusano, Frank, because he was expected to get some DH bats. He is the backup catcher spot. You need him to hit like somewhat what he did in AAA. And I know it's spring training, but it's not a great start to 2026 for Luis Campusano on the offensive side of things.
No, it is a little concerning at this point. And again, you brought up the lack of competition for that backup spot. And I think it was the best intention by the Padres to not bring that competition in, because you make him feel, okay, I've got this. This is my spot now. I got to prove that I can keep it. And everything that he's learned mentality-wise, you think, okay, good. He's getting that, but it is a little concerning that he has not hit all that well this spring so far.
Nick Castellanos, fresh start in San Diego, released by the Phillies, platoon at first base with Gavin Sheets, DH, and occasional outfield is the plan for Castellanos this year. He's been working heavily at first base, and reports of renewed enthusiasm. And when we talked about Nick Castellanos before he signed here, the question was, don't really want Philadelphia Nick Castellanos on this team. If he uses this as a wake-up call, as an eye-opener, and he changes his outlook, you could take Nick Castellanos for sure for league minimum, and that's exactly what the Padres have gotten so far, and so far so good. I'm excited to see Nick Castellanos play in an actual Padres game.
Yeah, he has had a very, very good spring. He's looked like he's taken to first base very, very well. So for him, I mean, very, very solid work out of Nick Castellanos so far this spring, and it's looking more and more like we've had really less and less to worry about than we thought but the days before they signed him.
We had the news earlier today about Joe Musgrove starting on the injured list. Let's take a deeper dive at that fifth man rotation spot when we come back and get you to the sports thread of the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 11:40 on a Monday. A lot of sports over the weekends, a lot of Padres news over the weekend. We're going to dive into some of the Padres news here, especially when it comes to the starting rotation. Joe Musgrove is going to start the year on the injured list. So here's what you need to know about where the starting rotation stands right now. Padres are preparing to start the season in an unconventional way by potentially skipping the traditional fifth starter entirely and relying on bullpen games early in the year. Yeah, that was reported over the weekend before the news about Joe Musgrove today. We talked about a 5-man rotation. We talked about a 6-man rotation, Frank. I mean, how long have we talked about that so far in spring training?
Yeah, quite a bit, huh?
A lot. And now you get the report from Kevin Acee that they're potentially skipping a traditional fifth starter entirely and relying on bullpen games earlier in the year. With favorable early season scheduling and a deep bullpen, the organization is considering whether it's better to lean on its relief core rather than force an unreliable fifth starter into the rotation. Manager Craig Stammen made it clear that the team is keeping all options open and that no final decisions have been made regarding the rotation structure. And at the moment, 3 rotation spots appear firmly locked in. Nick Pivetta, Michael King, Randy Vasquez. Obviously, the news about Joe Musgrove, and this was mentioned in the article yesterday, Joe Musgrove is expected to be part of the rotation at some point, but his situation complicates the early season picture because he's returning from Tommy John surgery and has already been temporarily shut down after experiencing fatigue following his first spring outing. Because he only has thrown a few innings and one bullpen session recently, he likely won't be ready until at least the second turn through the rotation. Now you know he's starting on the injured list. Meanwhile, former Cy Young contender Walker Buehler, who signed a minor league contract earlier in camp, appears likely to earn a roster spot after showing enough promise during spring training, which leaves a 5th spot available. And that has been highly unstable so far. Several pitchers are competing for that spot, but none have clearly separated themselves. We're of course talking about Germán Marquez, Marco Gonzalez, and JP Sears. Germán Marquez initially looked like the favorite after flashing strong command and a sharp curveball earlier in camp. However, his most recent outing was shaky, raising doubts. Marco Gonzalez delivered one of the worst outings in spring training. He allowed 11 runs in 2 innings, severely damaging his chances. And then JP Sears, who has shown inconsistency, alternating strong and poor performances. Rather than commit to an uncertain option, the Padres are exploring whether their bullpen could cover the innings instead. Early season scheduling helps make that possible. The Padres will play only 6 games in the first 8 days, meaning the team could realistically get through the first 10 games using just 4 starters. If necessary, the team could schedule a bullpen game or use an opener strategy to stretch that approach even further. This plan would allow the Padres to carry an additional reliever on the opening day roster, potentially bringing the bullpen total to 9 pitchers. Several pitchers have strengthened their case for those bullpen roles during spring training. Kyle Hart, Jackson Wolf, Logan Gillespie. Another possibility is that Marquez could still make the team, but serve in a flexible role, either as a short leash starter, an opener, or a long reliever. The bullpen-heavy strategy would also serve as a temporary bridge while the Padres wait for several pitchers to become available. Those potential and reinforcements include Musgrove returning to full strength, Matt Waldron recovering and possibly earning a shot during a rehab assignment, Tristan McKenzie refining his command in the minors, Griffin Canning returning from injury around May. There is also a longer-term possibility of adding a starter externally. A new ownership group could provide additional payroll flexibility during the first month of the season, potentially allowing the Padres to pursue a trade or sign a free agent like Lucas Giolito if he remains available. Still, the bullpen-heavy approach carries significant risk. Relying on relievers for large workloads early in the season could wear down the bullpen quickly, especially if starting pitchers fail to pitch deep into games. If multiple starters exit early in consecutive games, the relief corps could be forced to observe too many innings, which is the big risk that we talked about with six-man rotation. Now, relying on relievers for large workloads is a big problem, but because of the risk, because of that risk specifically, the Padres view this approach strictly as a short-term solution, not a long-term strategy. However, the organization believes the early schedule gives them the flexibility to experiment. And as Craig Stammen put it, teams can afford to be creative early in the season, but trying to sustain that creativity over 162 games would be more difficult. So not only now have we talked about a 4-man versus a 5-man rotation, or sorry, a 5-man versus 6-man rotation. Now we're talking about a 4-man rotation, a bullpen day, but then having a guy like Germán Marquez start the game. I mean, at that point, Frank, what's the difference?
Yeah, that's a fifth starter is what that is.
What's the difference between Germán Marquez being the fifth starter and then has a short leash and just having him be, and having a 4-man rotation and a bullpen day? What's the difference?
We are overthinking things.
It's literally the same thing. They could literally do the same thing. The only difference would be if they kept like a guy like Kyle Hart, but then he would basically be in the rotation anyway. If you're going to always start the same kind of guy at the beginning as either an opener or like the long relief man, does it really matter what you call it? How many starting pitchers are you going to keep on the team and how many bullpen guys are you going to keep on the team? Is Germán Marquez going to be that bullpen piece that starts every fifth day? Hey, guess what? It sounds like he's a fifth starter then. I mean, I think Germán Marquez is going to be fine as the number 5 starter. I think you could do a lot worse than him as a number 5 starter. And guess what? At the beginning part of the year, with all the days off that you have, and with the way the schedule is, as we've talked about before, maybe you have Germán Marquez just pitch every fifth day, and then you go to the bullpen very heavily on those days. It's kind of the mix of both. But like this conversation now of like, oh, well, maybe we'll go 4 starters and then a bullpen day. I mean, you could do that, I guess, until some of these guys come back. But isn't that the exact same thing as just having 5 guys? Seems like it's the fifth thing. It's the same thing. But biggest takeaways from that, Walker Buehler's making this team, I think, is takeaway number 1. I think Germán Marquez is the only consistent. He's the most consistent at anybody that you've had in this rotation. I think he's going to be the number 5 starter. And the other 2 things that have popped up that are interesting. One was Tristan McKenzie starting in the minor leagues. Like that being an option, like he's not going to get taken by anybody. I think that's pretty reassuring for the Padres. Because if Kevin Acee is reporting that in his article, the Padres are going to take the risk that nobody's going to pick him up. And maybe they know that nobody wants to pick him up and like restart the process. Tristan McKenzie starting in the minor leagues is, I think, good news for the Padres. And let him get some work down there before he comes back up to the major leagues if you need a guy. I think that's added depth to this organization. And the last part that I thought was interesting was the new ownership group potentially providing some funds to go get another pitcher like a Lucas Giolito. That is interesting. That is a topic of discussion we had not really talked about much, is that impact that new ownership group automatically brings to the Padres. Now, according to, we're going to get to this later, but according to the report by Dennis Lin over the weekend, it sounds like the final bids for Padres ownership are due on April 4th, which is coming up. And if they get a new ownership group in here before, early in the season, and that's a factor, I mean, how much that seems like that opens up a whole new world of possibilities for the Padres come the trade deadline when it comes to adding payroll to this roster. Because right now they're kind of strapped for cash, but they're going to dangle the carrot of like, oh, new ownership group. Maybe they might throw some money out there. I mean, does that give a signal of what type of new ownership group is going to come in to buy the Padres? I didn't really account for that. I think that makes an interesting topic of discussion. I really do. With what's to come of the rest of the rotation or where they can find some different spots. So basically what you need to know about the fifth starter situation. The Padres consider starting the season with without a fifth starter. But then in the report, it sounds like it could just be Germán Marquez in a long relief role, which is basically just a starter at that point anyway. But they could start the season with a 4-man rotation, use bullpen games. Now, if that's the case and they want to keep Logan Gillespie over Germán Marquez, I think that's very interesting. But all you know for the rotation is there's locked rotation spots. Nick Pivetta, Michael King, Randy Vasquez. Joe Musgrove's the wild card, although he is starting on the injured list. Walker Buehler is more than likely making the team. He is starting today for the Padres in their spring training game. And he signed a minor league deal, so they're going to have to add him to the roster and put him on the 40-man. And then the fifth starter competition is unsettled. Germán Marquez, early favorite, but recent outing had raised concerns for the Padres. He must improve minor league assignment. That's his contract situation. So I'm curious to see how this goes. But to me, I think you have the rotation, Frank. I think you got your 5 guys right there. And I'd roll the dice on Germán Marquez, and I'd trust in Ruben Niebla.
Yep, I agree 100%. I mean, like I said, you're overthinking things. You're getting too complicated. If we're just, is it a 4-man with a long relief, or is it what? Just go with a 5-man rotation. Just have Germán Marquez start, as you said, give him a short leash, and then start throwing the bullpen at him. But I don't understand why we're being so intricate and trying to reinvent the wheel. It's a 5th starter. Just go with that.
Right. At this point, I think that's what you're really having this conversation for. It's a 5th starter. And you know what? As Juan Ruiz in the YouTube chat says, you could just have Marquez do what Vasquez did last season. Don't let him go 3 times to the order. Have him go twice and then go to the bullpen. And let Germán Marquez figure it out. I think that's the best plan of attack right now with the 5th spot in the rotation. And I still think you could do a lot worse than that. I mean, you're not throwing out there, Nick Margavicius and Matt Strom and whoever else, and Eric Lauer and Chris Paddock. I mean, that was a rotation not too long ago for the San Diego Padres. Germán Marquez is the 5th starter? I'll take it. And what did we say about the 5th starter spot for playoff teams?
It's irrelevant.
It's not irrelevant, but you don't need a lot of production out of it.
Once you get into the playoffs, it's irrelevant. It's you just need them to eat innings and not destroy the bullpen during the regular season.
The average number 5 starter for playoff teams last year threw 109 innings and had like a 4-point-something ERA. You want him to go 5 innings, that's fantastic, and you want to keep 3 runs or less. That's kind of the goal. If Germán Marquez gets you 5 innings and didn't give up 4 runs, I'd take that as a win. And that's what you need out of your number 5 starter. You're not asking Germán Marquez to be the ace that he was in Colorado that made the All-Star game. You're asking Germán Marquez to be a number 5 starter. I still think that's better than rolling the bullpen out there every 5 days. Let Germán Marquez go 5 innings, and hopefully he keeps it 3 runs or less. Because if you do that, he gives you an opportunity to win. So as much as people are freaking out maybe today about Joe Musgrove not starting the season on the roster and instead starting the season on the injured list, which I thought was kind of going to happen, reading the tea leaves, I just think that what you have right now, you only have to, and here's the other thing too, you only have to survive like a month. Because who's coming back in May? I know you can't guarantee it. I know you can't really rely on it, but who's coming back in May?
Griffin
Canning. So if Germán Marquez is a disaster, he's only going to have to pitch a couple of times. I mean, you go through the schedule again for the Padres. If he's number 5 starter, he pitch against the Giants on Tuesday of he'll pitch the final day of March, and you go through. He'll probably make like 3 starts, maybe 4 max, in a span of a month before Griffin Canning shows up. It's not like you need him to do this for the entire season. I do think it's a little bit of overcomplication. New lunchtime hour. When we come back, we talked about the bids. Well, final bids for the Padres are due April 4th. We'll get you an update on that when we come back in the new lunchtime hour.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
New lunchtime hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by the Craft Taco. Bold flavors at 2 locations, Sorrento Valley and inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum.
I'm waiting for the tacos. Where are the damn tacos at?
Maybe tomorrow. Wow, we got a Taco Tuesday and it's St. Patrick's Day.
I know, right?
Corned beef tacos? Corned beef, cabbage tacos. Maybe Craft Taco's got a deal for that. St. Patrick's Day taco. Maybe it's a green tortilla instead of a blue one. Are you ready for St. Patrick's Day stuff going on?
Sure.
Sure is right.
I'll get my Shamrock Shake and I'll be good to go.
Are the Padres going to wear like green hats or something? Or like Major League Baseball doing a St. Patrick's Day hat? St. Patrick's Day lid?
I don't know, dude.
St. Patrick's Day cactus lid? Just asking questions here. All right.
Getting very fond of that.
I'm just asking questions. Hey, you know what? Would
Getting
like
very
to know.
fond of the question asking.
We're broadcasting live at the Bill House Studios. We know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. Standings number sports station 97.3 The Fan. All right. We got some news over the weekend. Briefly talked about it Friday. Got more details over the weekend about the Padres sale. And it's nearing its next phase as bidding war starts to intensify. So, as Dennis Lin reported in The Athletic, the potential sale of the Padres is entering its critical stage, with 4 ownership groups expected to submit final bids in early to mid-April for a franchise that could be valued at around $3 billion. The sale process began with 5 groups submitting first-round bids by February 25th. But the field has now narrowed to 4 serious contenders. These groups recently traveled to the Padres spring training complex in Peoria, Arizona, and met with the team leadership as part of the evaluation process. This is stuff that we talked about on Friday. This is information that we knew. If the Padres ultimately sell for around $3 billion, it would be one of the largest sales in Major League Baseball history, though it would still fall short of the current record set when Steve Cohen purchased the New York Mets of 2. No, it would be higher than that. Several high-profile billionaires are believed to be involved in the bidding process. One is Jose Feliciano, whose private equity firm previously helped lead the $5.3 billion purchase of the soccer club Chelsea FC in 2022, alongside Todd Boehly. Another potential buyer is Dan Friedkin, a Houston-based billionaire with strong ties to international soccer ownership. Friedkin already controls multiple European clubs, including AS Roma, Everton FC, and AS Cannes. Friedkin has previously attempted to expand into American sports ownership, including a recent unsuccessful bid to purchase the Boston Celtics. That's probably a pretty penny. Another prominent candidate is Joe Lacob, the co-owner of the Warriors. Lacob has long pursued ownership in Major League Baseball and has previously explored the purchasing of the Dodgers, Angels, and Athletics. Lacob is widely credited with transforming the Warriors into one of the most successful and valuable franchises in professional sports after purchasing the team in 2010. Beyond the billionaire investors, the sale process has also attracted local celebrity involvement. Hall of Fame quarterback Drew Brees and Peoria founder Joe Kudla have reportedly expressed interest in joining a potential ownership consortium with San Diego's ties. While the identities of all bidders have not been publicly confirmed, the process appears to be moving quickly toward a final outcome. Second-round bids are expected during the second week of April, though negotiations could extend beyond that point if multiple groups remain competitive. For the Padres organization, the sale represents a potentially transformative moment. A new ownership group could bring new financial resources, leadership philosophies, and, of course, long-term strategies for the franchise. Given the rising valuations of sports franchises across North America, the Padres' final sale price will also serve as another major indicator of exploding economic value of Major League Baseball teams. So the biggest takeaway from me on this was, of course, they're going to get to their, you're going to get the second round bids. There's 4 ownership groups left that want to buy this team. But the biggest takeaway is, of course, the new financial resources for this team and what new ownership could mean. I mean, potential impacts could be increased payroll flexibility. I mean, you could talk about the payroll for the Padres all you want. You could talk about where they're at in terms of payroll and everything going on with the CBA and what you can and cannot afford. This is a different group that could potentially increase payroll flexibility based on their track records on spending money on other sports teams. They could have a new front office philosophy. They could have new long-term franchise strategy changes. I mean, there's a lot that could change for this Padres organization with this new ownership group. But I find it interesting that now we got a report from Kevin Acee about the pitching side of things, right, with the 5-man rotation. And then he goes on to say, well, with new ownership group, they could potentially go buy another pitcher. And now with Dennis Lin, he alludes to new payroll flexibility with the new ownership group as well. And Frank, you and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but with the new ownership group for the Padres potentially, a lot of the times when these groups take over teams, especially buying good teams, and they own other teams and they're in the competitive mix, they usually like to make a splash to really get the fan base going for them being in charge.
Right. And another thing is that we've also discussed on this show is that when ownership sells and a new ownership group buys the team, it's not an immediate transfer of power. Especially in sports leagues, there are a lot of other things that go into it. Like the other owners have to approve of who the Padres are selling to. And that could take a while. And Major League Baseball and the owners, they have just a tiny other thing on their plate right now. So you don't know when that approval is going to come through. So I would be shocked if the Padres do anything this season at the direction or at the heading of the new ownership group, because we don't know when they're going to be in control. There have been a year plus long process of teams selling before the new ownership takes control. So there's no guarantee that this trade deadline is going to be the new ownership or not. It's more likely that it's not.
Well, I don't think that really matters on the flexibility, because the current ownership group can spend as much money as they want, and guess who's never going to have to pay it?
Going to have to pay it in the short term. They're going to have to pay it before the.
All they're going to have to pay is this year's salaries.
No, I understand that, and possibly some of next year's, depending upon how long this thing goes.
I know, but if they're not, they can backload I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they can do. They can have a lot more flexibility, not knowing that they don't have to pay it anymore, because that could be part of the bidding process too. Anyway, for this team, I mean, you're going to take on all the contracts of this team, and so like the old ownership group doesn't have to. They already got 4 entities bidding for stuff, and so the fact that they're all the reports talking about more flexibility with payroll. It's going to come in 2 ways. 1, the new ownership group is going to spend more money. Or 2, the current ownership group doesn't need to worry about spending money because they're about to get paid for the team anyway. So they can run up the price tag if they want to. And that'll be the next ownership group's problem. So there's 2 ways to look at it, but they're going to have more flexible payroll, I think, during the season because of the sale.
I think they'll have more flexible payroll after the sale is complete. I don't necessarily think that you're going to run up the bill on the guy you just sold the team to unless it is at their direction.
I don't think I think they can run it up and not. I don't think it's going to matter because they're making improvements to the team at that point in time.
No, I understand that.
So either way, they're going to be a little bit more flexible. And I'm not talking about they're not going to go pull a Steve Cohen and spend $400 million on a roster. But at this point, I don't think it really matters to an extra $3 million extra $5 million, go over the cap by a little bit more. That's no longer your problem. And I don't think, to be honest with you, let me ask you this question. If you are in the midst of a bidding war to buy a professional franchise, are you going to pull out of that deal because the current ownership group went $10 million over their budget for their payroll?
No. And
You're
like
not.
I said, it would also be, you would have to assume that that's going to become at the behest of the new ownership. It's not being a buzzkill. It's being realistic. You're not just going to spend $30 million after you sell the team without having the approval of the new owner first. So I don't know. And it could be a way of, the new owner wants to do things his way. So he wants to hold everything the way it is. And then when he gets in, he then starts to get his own players and gets the front office and everything the way he wants it, instead of allowing the old ownership group to continue with what they're doing if the new ownership plans on going a different way. It's not being a buzzkill, it's being realistic.
Well, I think realistically, I disagree with you.
Which is fine.
I
can
don't
disagree with me.
I think you're looking at this from a different view than what, obviously I'm looking at it. But if I'm the current owner of the house and I decide to make improvements on it before I sell said house, yeah, there's some contingencies that have to be involved with some of these deals, right? But which does have to get approval. But two things, like one, you're not going to tear the team. We've already agreed that they're not going to tear this team down.
No,
because
exactly.
That would be foolish of them to do that after spending $3 billion plus. So a big splash would be great for them, especially before everything's put into place. But by the way, here's the deal. Even if it hasn't been officially signed off yet for them to control the team, if they announce who bought the team before the deadline, what do you think fans are going to say if the trade deadline goes and raises the payroll? What are they going to say? The new owners have bought all these new players.
Yeah.
And so that they're going to sign off on any of that stuff. And if you're the current ownership group, you can spend the money because who cares? You're getting your check. You're selling the team. It's like, it's a problem that you don't have to deal with anymore. So I could see this Padres team having a little bit more payroll flexibility in the next couple of months. But as we continue on this coverage of the Padres and everything going on, I found that to be interesting. That's now 2 reports about maybe some increased payroll flexibility. I think you got to be a little patient for the first month or so, but you might have a little bit more payroll flexibility. Now, also mentioned the UT over the weekend, how Petco Park is involved with this potential sell. And as Frank mentions, it is reason 1,564,347 why the Padres won't relocate. We'll explain what the Petco Park factor is when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Urban Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Looking for a contestant for the Midday Sports Standoff for when we come back. If you call in and take me down some sports trivia, you'll be qualified for a chance to win our grand prize, a 2-night stay at Fontainebleau, Las Vegas, and a $150 resort credit. March is here, and Fontainebleau, Las Vegas is the place to catch every game. High-energy watch parties with expansive screens, great food and drinks, exclusive room rates, plus the pools and day club are open. Book your stay at FontainebleauLasVegas.com now. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. All right. Not that we really needed to say this again. Not the fact that we needed to say this again. But another reason why the Padres are not moving, again, why do we have to say this again? But here we are, is the Petco Park factor to this particular deal. Now, with Petco Park, it's central to the Padres sale. Key issue in the franchise sale: ownership buyers evaluating stadium revenue potential, lease terms, relationship with the city government, and the stadium agreement, joint use and management agreement, the JUMA. Now, there's relocation restrictions with the Padres. Padres cannot relocate before the end of 2031. Stadium agreement is tied to the city construction debt, and the debt payoff date is October 15, 2031. Possible extensions, 2 5-year options could keep the Padres in San Diego beyond 2040 if exercised. There's a lot of different information on this. But as the sale of the Padres moves closer to completion, one of the most important elements of the deal may not be the roster or the front office, but the stadium agreement tied to Petco Park and the team's relationship with the city of San Diego. Jennifer Van Grove had a great article about this in the Union Tribune. Padres Stadium Agreement, known as the Joint Use and Management Agreement, which I just mentioned, the JUMA, binds the franchise and the city together in a long-term partnership that could shape how a potential buyer views the franchise. The contract currently prevents the Padres from relocating until at least the conclusion of the 2031 MLB season, when the agreement's initial term expires. That date is tied to the city's remaining debt from the construction of Petco Park, which is expected to be fully paid off on October 15, 2031. Once that debt is retired, the Padres could technically choose to not exercise their extension options and potentially relocate the franchise. The agreement contains 2 optional 5-year extensions, meaning the team could remain tied to San Diego well beyond 2031 if ownership chooses to continue the arrangement. Although team officials have publicly dismissed relocation concerns, the possibility has become a topic of conversation among city leaders as ownership transition unfolds. San Diego Council member Raul Campillo recently warned that franchise relocations often begin with uncertainty during ownership changes and urged city officials to take a proactive approach to keeping the team in San Diego. He pointed out the painful example of the Chargers, who relocated to LA in 2017 after decades in San Diego, emphasizing the importance of demonstrating to potential buyers that the city is committed to supporting the Padres long term. San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria, however, expressed confidence that the stadium agreement provides sufficient protection to keep the team in place for the foreseeable future. The contract requires any new ownership group to assume the Padres' current obligations, including the commitment to remain in San Diego through the duration of the agreement. Despite that reassurance, sports economists say the 2031 contract expiration date could become a powerful negotiating tool for future ownership. Owners across professional sports frequently use expiring stadium deals to seek more favorable financial terms, new stadiums, public funding improvements, yada, 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 yada. Petco Park itself is widely viewed as a highly valuable asset for the franchise, though. It opened in 2004 at the cost of $475 million. The stadium helped transform San Diego's East Village from a struggling district into a thriving downtown destination. The project was financed through a partnership between the Padres and the city. San Diego contributed roughly $300 million, while the team contributed $173 million. Today, the city owns 70% of the ballpark, while the Padres own 30%. However, the financial arrangement is heavily tilted in the Padres' favor. The team pays relatively low rent to use the stadium, about $905,000 a year, while the city covers a significant portion of the maintenance and operating costs. The Padres keep revenue from baseball games and share 30% of revenue from non-baseball events held at their stadium. Financial data shows that the stadium is currently a net loss for the city, In the most recent fiscal year, San Diego collected about $9.1 million in stadium-related revenue, but spent $20.8 million on related expenses, including public safety services and debt payments. Sports economists, often point to deals like this as examples of why publicly funded stadiums can be financially slightly a problem for taxpayers. However, other analysis urge that Petco Park has produced massive economic benefits for the city. A study from the Stanford Graduate School of Business concluded that the stadium helped generate more than $4 billion in private investment in downtown redevelopment, transforming East Village into a major entertainment district. For potential buyers, Petco Park will be carefully evaluated as a revenue-generating asset. Factors such as seating capacity, luxury suites, premium seating, concessions, potential additions like sports betting facilities could significantly influence the team's long-term profitability. Location is a major factor in the Padres' value. Experts widely believe that San Diego is one of the strongest markets in baseball. A top 20 U.S. metropolitan area is San Diego, and it has strong demographics and fan support, including some of the highest attendance figures in MLB in recent years. Because of those factors, economists believe relocation is unlikely. There are few viable markets that could realistically offer a stronger fan base or better economic outlook than San Diego. One possible relocation candidate could be Oakland after the departure of the Athletics, but that market faces challenges including competition from the Giants and declining fan engagement. Meanwhile, tensions between the Padres and city government in recent years could also influence future negotiations. Disputes have included issues as enforcement of illegal street vendors near the stadium, proposed restrictions on certain events, minimum wage policies for tourism workers, conditions in surrounding downtown areas, and a controversial $10 an hour special event parking zone around Petco Park. The Padres were reportedly not consulted before the city implemented the new parking policy, which increased parking rates during games. Despite those conflicts, city officials insist the relationship between the team and local government remains collaborative and that both sides are committed to keeping baseball in San Diego long term. With the franchise sale progressing and multiple billionaire ownership groups preparing to submit final bids, the future of Petco Park and the Padres' long-term relationship with the city could become one of the most important factors in shaping the next era of the franchise. But that being said, everything that has been laid out and was laid out in the article shows you that the Padres aren't going anywhere. For the, how many times did you say? 1.5 millionth time?
I just smashed my hand on the keyboard and just whatever number popped up was it.
The 1,564,347th time. The Padres are not going anywhere. But a great job by Jennifer Van Grove. She lays out more details about that entire situation and why the Padres are not going to move. I mean, we talked about, like, for everybody that talks about, oh, the Padres are going to move, and then, like, point at why the Chargers would never move back because of their stadium deal. This is the same kind of deal. It doesn't cost the Padres a whole lot. They get to keep all their baseball revenue. And how about this, too, with the discussion about the stadium? Remember, like, everybody talks about how it's not lucrative for stadiums, right? Well, I can understand both of those things. Like, they look at the factor of it cost the city $20 million on expenses, and they only generated $9.1 million from the stadium related revenue. But they also gained $4 billion in private investment in downtown. Is that not a benefit to the city?
I'd say it would be.
I'd say it's a massive benefit to the city. It's not a massive benefit. No, they have to pay taxes on all those buildings. Like, every time I hear the argument, like, well, stadiums don't generate money for the city. Yeah, they look at that number. But they had an impact of $4 billion in private investment. This is why I continue to say, build it and they will come, right? I mean, if you build the events, people will come here. San Diego's got one of the best cities, our best areas to host events, and Petco Park's one of the best buildings to host events in. It's been voted America's #1 ballpark so many different times. But anybody that would pay over $3 billion for a sports franchise, leave this asset behind that they make a ton of money on, 100% of the profits for baseball games and then 30% of revenue, and 70% of revenue for non-baseball events, why would you do that to go to a different market? Seriously. Why would you do that to go to a different market? It makes no sense. So put that to bed. Again, that is like even the economic side of things, it makes no sense to move the team. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we'll try to get a contestant for the Midday Sports Standoff. If you haven't done so already, give us a call, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. If you could take me down in sports trivia, you'd be qualified for a chance to win our grand prize, a 2-night stay at Fontainebleau, Las Vegas, and a $150 resort credit. March is here, and Fontainebleau, Las Vegas is the place to catch every game. High-energy watch parties with expansive screens, great food and drinks, exclusive room rates, plus the pools and day club are open. Book your stay today at FontainebleauLasVegas.com now. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get to that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. It's not over yet. 12:30 on a Monday. Could be a hot week this week. Stay hydrated. Stay cool. Yolanda, be cool. All right. Let's get to some other things here when it's a Padres. The reality of the situation with Petco Park, because this is from an article from Jennifer Van Grove. This is why I continue to say, build it and they will come, especially in San Diego. Because people in the YouTube chat, there's one person in the YouTube chat that just has no idea what they're talking about. But does anybody remember what East Village was like before they built Petco Park? Does anybody? I was young, but I remember.
I wasn't here yet, so.
That was a place you wanted nothing to do with. Absolutely nothing. Industrial. It was all industrial. It's an industrial area. Wasn't a great place to be. I mean, my grandfather used to buy, I've said this so many times, my grandfather used to buy building supplies at the Western Metal Supply Company building. It was all industrial down there. Nobody wanted to be down there. You know where else nobody wanted to be? The gas lamp. Nobody wanted to be down there at the gas lamp. It was an absolute bleep. It was terrible. I remember as a kid, before they built Petco Park, they were building it still. My dad had an office down there. Down in East Village. That was not a great place to be. Definitely not a great place to be. And then they built Petco Park. And you know what they did after they built Petco Park? They started building massive, nice, luxury apartments around it. And at the bottom of those, they started building bars and restaurants. And why? Because people were flocking to the stadium in the area. It rejuvenated that entire area that was never great. That happens in a lot of towns when you build up an area with the stadium. You get people to go there, which means that where people are at, you get to build restaurants and bars and all that stuff. You build a place to be. Before, it had a bunch of bad stuff. Wasn't great. They built Petco Park. Totally redid the city. Completely redid all of downtown. It made downtown a bigger place to be. Now you go to the game, you go to an event, they go right down into the gas lamp and everything. They've made that a fun nightlife area, which wasn't the case way back when. It just wasn't. But, obviously there's other homeless problems now that the city has to deal with the surrounding area down there. But it was high crime and a lot of people living on the street before they built that area up because of Petco Park. You want to see I don't think San Diego looks like that if they didn't build a stadium downtown. There would be no reason to go downtown. There was never really a reason to go downtown for a long period of time. And now it's like, hey, let's go downtown. The Padres drive people downtown. There's not a lot of people that want to go downtown. I don't go downtown for any reason aside from maybe Padres baseball. And then, there's nice restaurants down there now because of the influx of people in the area. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I had it is a new lunchtime hour, Frank. We didn't really dive into that Taco Bell stuff last week, but
right.
I don't even remember what the stuff was. It was kind of crazy.
I think I still have it saved.
Wow. I want to get to that in a second here.
Bookmarked.
Do you want to contest it for the Midday Sports Standoff, though? 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Yeah, like Zonder in the chat. I would never go downtown if it wasn't for Petco. It's true. Zonder's a college kid. Why would you ever go downtown? No. Literally is just outside of town, downtown, Juan. You only go down from Mona Lisa's and go down to the airport. That's basically it. There was no reason to go down there. Maybe Comic-Con. This weekend, I went down to University Heights. Did I tell you about this? No, I didn't tell you about this. So you know what Saturday was?
I'll tell you about this? You read about this?
You know what Saturday was? 3.14, March 14th. You know what that is?
No. San Diego FC played.
That'd be Pi Day.
That makes sense.
Math, right? Math.
Yep,
okay, so we did our usual morning workout on Saturdays. I had USD baseball at 5. And the question that I was asked by my friend, because usually what we do as a group, we go do the Frisbee thing. We've got Nicky P out there. We've gotten Crum out there. It's a good time. And then we go to Starbucks after or a local coffee shop. Kind of a fun little day to start your Saturday, right? Nice, pleasant. And then it came to realization that it was pie day. I'm like, okay. I did not realize how much my friend loves pie. She loves pie. So she said she sent this to me, but she did not. I went through the receipts. I did not get
went through the receipts.
I did not get the direct message of Pop Pie Company doing a deal for pie. So I've been to Pop Pie Company a couple of times because it's not too far from my buddy's house. And it's delicious. You know what pot pie is? Like they have like individual like chicken pot pies and different flavors of that stuff. It's good. It's good stuff. Okay, so I have been there before. Now, for Pie Day, they do like a collaboration with other restaurants, and they make a individual pot pie. So they made a collaboration with the Friendly, which I love the Friendly. Have you been to the Friendly?
No.
You got to go to the Friendly.
Okay.
It's a great burger spot. Now, they have a different cut. The Friendly's all over the place. They got the Friendly. They got one in the north side of North Park. They got one in South Park. The one in South Park's awesome because it's just like burgers and fries. It's simple. They got a couple of brews, if you will. It's great. And so the Friendly is, I love going. I went to the Friendly. She took me there for the first time. I thought it was a great place. Enjoyed the Friendly. The Friendly partnered with Pot Pie as well as a couple other restaurants. And they had a pot pie burger collaboration. So it was a pie crust shell individual with like ground beef, onions, and cheese and stuff like that. And so she says, I sent this to you a couple days ago. We have to get one. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm sure this is going to be
goody.
A long line.
Yay.
And she was like, let's go. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, but we have to go now because they might sell out. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. Now, I'm initially thinking I'm going to spend about 35 minutes, maybe 40 minutes max, getting one of these things.
And then taking that entire time bracing for the crash out when her favorite pie is not there.
Well, no. I wasn't thinking about that. I thought for sure we'd go early enough in the morning. They'd have enough for the morning people to do it because who's having a pot pie that early in the morning? It was around like 9 or 10. So, but we were going to do it for dinner. So from the dinner side of things, we go down there, and when I got down to University Heights, I was looking in line. I was looking at the line for the restaurant or for like Pot Pie in University Heights. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of long. And then as we got closer, I saw the line just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm like, oh, that's down the street. Oh, this is like a Disneyland ride type line.
No.
I had already driven down there. So I was like, okay, well, maybe it'll move quick. We waited in the line for about an hour and 20 minutes for the pot pies. But at that point now, Frank, I'm committed at that point. We are committed.
Yeah,
I am
100%.
getting a pie. And as we wait in line, one of the collaboration pies was sold out. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I really don't want to wait in line an hour and 20 minutes for like just the regular chicken pot pie. I want the friendly one. And I look to her and I go, and she goes, oh, I am prepared for.
I have prepared for this eventuality.
To not actually get the one that we want. And I was like, oh God, this is not great. This is not great at all. And so we were cruising through. She's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm like, how we doing on time? How we doing on time? I'm committed to doing this now. There's nothing. My morning is different now than it was when I initially planned because waiting in line for an individual pot pie was not how I thought I was going to start my Saturday morning.
First pitch for USD will wait for this.
Yeah, first pitch is at 5:00. Okay, I have time. And when I get there 3 hours before, because that's the kind of
because
detail
we're
and
psychotic. Yeah, that's
right. With that, I said, like, I needed to be there around 2:00, which means we needed to be. I was like, it's 11:30. at this point. We have enough to. I can sit here for another 45 minutes if we have to get this pie.
Go Aztecs is asking if you made any new friends in line.
I did. The lady, I think she either owned the place or like she would work there. She was very nice.
Oh, there you go.
No, she was great. She's a Brazilian lady. She was awesome. So at that point we were committed to the pot pie. We ended up getting the cheeseburger one, the friendly version, and then they had a pizza one too from some pizza place, and I can't remember what the pizza place was off the top of my head. That one was good too. I thought the cheeseburger one was better, but that's what I did on Saturday. So we did the USD game, and of course that night, so she was going to wait for the game to be over. She went to the game on Friday, and then she was going to wait for the game to be over, and then we were going to have the pot pies for dinner. That was the game that went 4 hours long. And here's the thing that was
also the game your producer yelled at you for.
No, that was Friday. That was Friday.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, I told Tim, because I said Friday. Remember, I said Friday. I said I will still be home, and I'll be home in time to watch San Diego State play basketball against New Mexico. And he was like, "There it is. We're not going to see it." And then the game ended, and Tim he's pointing at his watch, and he goes, "I told you." And I said, "They haven't even tipped off yet. I'm still going to get there in time to watch the game." So Saturday, the game goes like 4 hours. USD was one strike away from getting run ruled, and we would have been out of there earlier. And they scored 3 runs. It was the only time I was like, run rule is not the worst at this point in time. Everybody was thinking about that as well. So that, of course, was the late game. So we didn't eat dinner till like 10:30 at night with the pot pies. It was good, though. I had that. We bought some of the dessert ones, too. Had those for breakfast the next day with some coffee, a little postre in the morning. But yesterday, I didn't post this picture. I need to post it and tag Rod in it. Yesterday, I needed to figure out what to do with the tuna, right? The bluefin. And Rod suggested the ceviche. Just do the ceviche. I did the ceviche yesterday.
Attaboy.
It was great. So I did the ceviche. I did the bluefin tuna, and I mixed it with avocado. We mixed it with avocado, cucumber. Did some lime juice, some olive oil, salt and pepper, jalapeno, cilantro, and a little bit of the lemon basil I had grown in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
So some fresh lemon basil with that. Oh, delicious. It was money. It's great. Had some of the mint from the garden as well. Made some mojitos.
The snail-free garden.
Yes. Snails have stayed away. I probably have to reapply the Sluggo soon, but the snails have stayed away. I'm going to post the picture on social media right now so Rod can see the ceviche.
And I will retweet it on the show account too, by the way, if you're.
But it was good. It was good. It's good food. Good food this weekend throughout. So why can't I tag Rod in this? What's Rod's? I don't know what Rod's deal is.
Okay.
There you go. I'll just put it out.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's on social
I'm going to
media.
say this right now. Here, hold on.
Squirrel.
The Versilia Rawhides. Do you know who they are?
Yeah.
Okay, they are. For those of you who don't, they are the single A minor league affiliate of the Diamondbacks. They have announced, as of 20 minutes ago, their alter ego.
Oh, what's theirs?
The Central Valley. I will post this on here. Every minor league team has an alter ego, like the mission, the San Antonio Missions or the Flying Chanclas, right? So
the Salt Lake City dirty sodas.
Yeah, that. This is the Versilia Rawhides. They are the Central Valley sirloins.
Was that a steak right there?
It's a sirloin, yeah.
What? That's amazing. He's just like chilling on the grill, too.
He's just chilling on a barbecue.
Why is it? Oh, because it's sir. I was like, what's with the
sirloins? No, Nate, it's not the honkers.
Foul.
He draws the foul.
Central Valley sirloins. Did you like that one I sent you from the hockey team?
Which one was that?
It was the Bruins. It was the Bruins minor league affiliate.
The Hershey Bears?
No, the Providence Bruins.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they're not the minor league. But
No, they're the Canadian League team, I think.
the Providence Bruins. Their alter ego was the Providence Fighting Parms.
Yes, I did see. Yes, you did send me that.
Which I
That
thought was very.
incredible.
I thought that was the timing on that was great after making chicken parm on Thursday. The Providence Fighting Parms. I need some Providence Fighting Parms gear. You got to add it to your list, dude.
Yes, I do. I do need to add it to my list.
You know what? Go Aztecs in the YouTube chat. That logo is what I picture Frank doing in the sun with his casings. When we talked about the foam rolling outside on a hot day, it was like a 7-Eleven hot dog.
Oh, God.
The Rawhides changing their name to the Sirloins is great. It's phenomenal. Phenomenal. I love it. Rod in the YouTube chat. I'm glad he likes the ceviche. I posted that on Twitter just moments ago.
But yeah, sorry for the squirrel interruption, but that was necessary. I think everyone needed to know that. Squirrel.
True. Oh, I guess Harris Ranch Meats makes a lot of steaks. Is nearby. That's why they went with the sirloins. That's pretty funny.
Gotcha.
Are we got any other alter ego? The Chihuahuas just got an alter ego, didn't they?
Did they? Let me see. I mean,
they did. They just got a new one. I just saw it pop up. Oh no, Rod! Foul on Rod in the chat.
Oh, what did Rod do?
He draws the foul.
Oh yeah, here it is.
Yeah, what's the El Paso Chihuahuas new alter ego?
I'm saving it right now. Hold on. It'll be up on your screen in a moment.
I forget what it is, but I know they came up one. So now the AAA affiliate's got one, the AA affiliate's got one. I don't know if the Storm have one or not. Because people keep asking if the Lake Elsinore Storm... Do the Storm have one?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
I know
it's not something that every team has. But here's the... this is actually pretty sick. That is really cool. For the El Paso Chihuahuas there.
Yeah, I like it. The Matachines? Is that how you say that?
That's why I haven't been saying the names.
Matachines? That's pretty cool. The El Paso Matachines. Storm alter ego should be the Lake Elsinore natural casings with Frank's face on the hats. There it is, Rod. One with the top rope move. It says that the Storm's alter ego is the Cadejos. Cadejos de Lake Elsinore.
Okay.
The mountainous landscape that surrounds the Lake Elsinore Diamond is said to be home to a mythical creature known as the Cadejos, dating back to the late 1800s with the arrival of the first Spaniards. There have been Cadejos sightings in the area by numerous travelers. In order to traverse the harsh terrain of Southern California hills and Lake Elsinore, it was believed that the mythical creature known as the Cadejo was the guiding source to safe passage. There you go. So I guess everybody but the Tin Caps has one. Tin Caps in general is kind of an alter ego.
Yeah, more or less.
There's your minor league alter ego affiliations for you. When we come back, San Diego FC drew a draw over the weekend. We'll talk more about it. 1:00 on a Monday. We got Padres baseball coming up later on in this hour. Was it a 1:10 start today? 1:05 start?
Yeah, it's a 1:10 start.
1:10 start. They're in Peoria. Yeah.
Yes, they are.
That will give away the 1:10 part. Even in spring training, we can't possibly have everybody start at the same time. You have the 05s, the 10s, the 15s, whatever it may be. All right, today for the Padres, Walker Buehler's on the hill. Again, important start for the Padres starting rotation because with the news earlier today, if you're just tuning in, Joe Musgrove's going to start the season on the injured list, which means Walker Buehler is on this team, Frank. And not only that, now you got to start looking at what's available and who is available to fill that final spot in the rotation. So Walker Buehler's got to be a part of this thing, but you got to hopefully he continues to have a good outing against San Francisco today. And then after that, it's going to come down to Ramon Marquez, JP Sears, Marco Gonzalez, Tristan McKenzie. I mean, these are some of the people that are competing for that final spot in that starting rotation. Today's lineup for the Padres. Jackson Merrill will lead things off, play center field. Xander Bogaerts bats second, plays shortstop. Miguel Andujar bats third, plays third. Ramon Laureano is hitting cleanup, plays left field. Bryce Johnson's in right field. He bats fifth. Ty France is hitting .333 on the year with an .844 OPS in spring training. He will bat sixth and play first base. Nick Schnell, who has the most home runs out of any Padre in spring training, he bats seventh and is the DH. Batting eighth and catching is Luis Camposano. Want to see him get his numbers up a little bit. He's only hitting 148 right now in spring training. And then Nick Solak plays second base, bats ninth, hitting .342 during spring with a .945 OPS. I look at the lineup, Frank, and I look at the numbers. There's a lot of good numbers across the board for all the Padres that are trying to make this team.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the fun part about having the quality of battles and position battles that we've had over the course of this spring. Seeing guys like Nick Solak being able to really make a statement as to whether or not he can make this team or if he's going to be an option later on down the line for the Padres. It's been very, very impressive by all of these guys that have been kind of on the fringe of making the team and not.
Yeah, the thing is, when you look at this team and you look at the players that are involved, there's a lot of players that I think a lot of people were not expecting to make the team that are now forcing the narrative and forcing the conversation. We talk about the bench piece for the Padres, guys like Ty France trying to make this team with a 3.33 average and an 884 OPS. And Craig Stammen continues to say, if you hit, we will find a place for you on this team. He has done it. Jose Miranda has done it. I mean, these are the players that are battling for roster spots. And the good news is you have a lot of young players on the Padres that are forcing the narrative of them to potentially make the major league club, but that also, though, will provide depth in the minor leagues. So as the Padre game gets started here, we will give you updates. We only have 8 more of these games this season for spring training. That's it. And one of the days is a split squad day on Friday. And we're going to be ready for Padres. We got 11 days out for opening day. Well, we're going to be broadcasting at Baja Ricks, getting ready for Padres and Tigers. Should be a fun time downtown. We're looking forward to that. Looking forward to being a part of that with all of you. Again, we'll keep you updated on how the Padres are doing against the Giants as that game rolls on in Peoria. But in the meantime, talk about the other team in town, San Diego FC. They were able to work a 3-3 draw over the weekend. It's the first time that an MLS team had done some damage against San Diego FC. But as I look at this game on Saturday for San Diego FC against FC Dallas that ended in a 3-3 draw, I can't stop but think about how they might be trying to be ready to go on Wednesday down in Mexico against Toluca.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you saw out of the lineup. Dreyer and Pellegrino did not start. Pilcher was in as a starter. They looked like they were a little bit off. Godoy was a starter on Saturday night as well, so he didn't play at all against Toluca. But yeah, they looked like they were on the back foot. They looked like they were a little bit tired. They got the 2 penalties early that got them out to a lead, but Dallas was just Peter Musa was just hounding them all night long.
Yeah, I mean, this is I was somewhat expecting this to be a game where try to keep as many of the starters fresh as possible for their upcoming game against Toluca in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. I mean, obviously the MLS matters and the regular season matters in MLS play, but at the same time, Frank, I mean, you want to be able to do some damage, especially against a team like Toluca. You're already beat 3-2 here in San Diego, and you did it shorthanded for the entire game, and then even more shorthanded with 9 guys in the final minutes. And it's going to be a tough task going down to Toluca to be able to beat Toluca to advance into the tournament because of the aggregate, and an away goal score count is more. But if San Diego FC go down there and knock in a goal or 2, which would be very difficult with where things are at, they're in really good shape to potentially advance and keep their CONCACAF Champions Cup alive.
Yeah, and also another thing worth noting is that Pablo Cisniega was the starter on Saturday night. So Duran Ferri got the night off, and Cisniega was in. It was a little surprising, but when you thought about it, it's like, yeah, well, we gotta save these guys. We gotta really let them relax a little bit, especially going into the very, very high altitudes that Toluca plays at. But yeah, this is a game that you were surprised to see San Diego FC end up losing the 3 points getting the draw instead. But when you look at the overall context of the game and of the weekend, yeah, it really wasn't all that surprising of a result. A game that they honestly should have lost.
So San Diego FC remain unbeaten in the 2026 MLS season, but left Texas frustrated after surrendering a late goal in the 3-3 draw with FC Dallas at Toyota Stadium over there in the DFW area. San Diego had multiple leads throughout the match, but could not close it out. As you mentioned, Petaro Musa's stoppage time equalizer, as well as the fact that he was on a one-man wrecking crew for Dallas.
He really was.
And despite the late collapse, San Diego extended its strong start to the season. 3-0-1 in MLS play, 10 points through 4 matches, still unbeaten in 2026. However, It sounds like the locker room reportedly felt the draw more like a loss because of how the game unfolded. And I think you could view it like that when you have had such a great start to the MLS portion of the season as well.
Yeah, you got a 3-1 lead that you couldn't hold on to, and a team that's been so dominant on the defensive side of the ball. And that last goal, that game tire, I believe it was 8 minutes of added time in the second half, and they score in the 5th minute of it. You were a couple minutes away from home and just couldn't seal the deal, couldn't get it, couldn't finish the game off. So I can see why it would feel like a loss for them. But again, if you look at the context of the whole week, the whole weekend, and what's coming up on Wednesday, yeah, it's more understandable how that game went down.
For San Diego FC, the offensive star was Ani Valakari. He scored 2 goals, recording in this first multi-goal game in the MLS. In MLS, his scoring plays the 21st minute penalty kick after the handball in the box, 51st minute first touch finish off of the cross from Alex Mighton. Valakari now has 5 goal contributions this season, 3 goals, 2 assists. Even more impressive, though, he has recorded either a goal or assist in 4 straight MLS matches, which is the longest active streak in the league. And that really shows the overall depth of this team, because it's a lot of different moving parts on an offensive side. And it just shows how many great players this team has for San Diego FC. And it's not just Anders Dreyer all the time.
No, we mentioned it after the opener. They scored 5 goals in that opener against Montreal. And it was 5 different goal scorers. So yeah, they're getting contributions from everyone, everywhere. And if they're not putting it in the back of the net, they're feeding it. They're being able to send guys and put them in a good spot. And you also have a guy like Anders Dreyer, who's just as capable of putting it in the back of the net as he is setting somebody up. Marcus Ingvartsen's had a couple of very nice plays to set up goals so far this season already. So it's not just the perimeter guys that are just feeding 1 or 2 main stars. Everybody is getting involved in every aspect of the game on the offensive side.
Peter Musa, he really took over for FC Dallas, as we mentioned before. I mean, he led the comeback. He delivered the hat trick for Dallas. He had the rebound goal in the 41st minute. He had the penalty kick in the 54th minute, stoppage time equalizer in the 95th minute, and his goal came after a midfield interception by Kamungo, and he raced down the left wing before delivering a pass to Musa, who finished with a first touch strike. He was the problem for San Diego FC all night long.
Yeah, he was, and that attack for Dallas all night was a pain in the neck for the San Diego FC defense, and Pablo Cisniega was having a time of it back there all night. And Musa, one of the top scorers in the league last year, if I remember correctly, he is definitely the danger point for FC Dallas, and he certainly proved it.
And it was a strange statistical game, too. Despite controlling the possession, San Diego allowed Dallas to generate more chances. If you look at the stat breakdown, San Diego FC had 60% of the possession on Saturday, 732 completed passes, 5 total shots. For FC Dallas, only 40% of the possession, but they were able to muster 13 shots and 8 shots on target. The numbers show that San Diego dominated the ball, but they really struggled to create scoring opportunities compared to Dallas.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it just felt like an off night. It felt like the guys were a little tired from the fight that they had on Wednesday night. And again, you didn't see a lot of the starters in. They brought out the club in full force on Wednesday. They had to fight from underneath the entire night, and you could tell it really wore some of those guys out, and you saw that against Dallas.
Lineup notes and some player development from over the weekend. Pablo Cisniega made his first start of the MLS season. He recorded 5 saves. Obviously, that was a talking point because of the fact that he is a backup, as on top of the fact that his backup has done so well for San Diego FC in Duran Ferri. First MLS start for Alex Mighton. He made his first start of the season and recorded his first MLS assist. Asphalt So made his first MLS start as well. Anders Dreyer appeared off the bench for the first time in club history after starting the first 37 matches of his San Diego career. But I think that's a big sign of what they were viewing that game as in comparison to what the game on Wednesday is going to be.
Yeah, they were very much looking to rest those guys because Amal Pellegrino came in the same sub time as Dreyer did, but they were hoping to be able to give those guys a full day's rest, but they also wanted to salvage at least a point against FC Dallas, and it looked like they were going to get all three right up until the bitter end. And I think the only way that they knew they were going to be able to do that was if they put Dreyer and Pellegrino and started getting some of the starters involved in that game. Otherwise, it could have turned into a loss against Dallas. So, yeah, that's not really surprising that they got the night off, and it was definitely telling of where the game was and where the game was going that they ended up coming in.
Now the challenge is Wednesday. They quickly shift focus to international competition. They travel to face Toluca FC, and in the second leg of the CONCACAF Champions Club in round of the 16. San Diego leads the aggregate 3-2 after winning the first leg at Snapdragon Stadium. That victory was dramatic as the team finished the match playing with 9 men after 2 red cards. Their next MLS match, though, will be against Real Salt Lake at Snapdragon Stadium. So, again, quick turnaround down in Mexico on Wednesday, trying to advance in international play. And then you got to be ready for Real Salt Lake at Snapdragon on Saturday and this week. So it's a lot going on for San Diego FC in this early part of the season. You just hope that they don't, it doesn't lead to a burnout at the beginning part of the year where they get tired middle through the year because of all these extra games that they're playing.
And this is what we talk about and you've also got the World Cup this year as well. You have a couple of guys that are going to be going internationally to play in the World Cup. But this is what I was talking about when I say you pick and choose your battles. You pick and choose what you want to really focus on. And you're early enough in the MLS season, just 4 matches in, that you can kind of somewhat put the MLS on the back burner if you really want to go for the Champions Cup. But some teams might view the Champions Cup as like, do we really need to waste energy on this? Because San Diego FC is also participating in another international tournament as well, the Leagues Cup. That doesn't start until August. So you got a bunch of stuff going on, and you really have to pick and choose what you want to go for. And San Diego FC looks like they really want the Champions Cup right now.
Yeah, they want to win. I mean, this is not like the and they kind of did a little bit of this when they went down to play Pumas, but this is not a like park the bus team. This is a team that gets after it all the time. They have that like aggressive approach from Mikey Varas. And so when we talked about the beginning of the season, the question of like whether or not we thought San Diego FC was going to really go for the CONCACAF Champions Cup, how they were going to view that compared to MLS play, and what was going to take the precedent. The tournament's taking the precedent right now.
Yep, 100%.
And I honestly, I think that's because of the success that they had early in competition.
Yeah, if they had lost or drawn those games to start the year against Montreal, St. Louis, and Sporting Kansas City, I think you would have seen a very different approach to what you got against Toluca on Wednesday. I think you would have seen pretty much the lineups switch from what you got on Saturday night to what you had on Wednesday night. You would have seen most of the starters in on Saturday, get the domestic league right before focusing internationally. And now that they have started domestically the way they wanted to, the way they expected to, they're starting to put more of that focus internationally. And you definitely will see domestic struggle a little bit, but they built a nice little cushion for themselves early.
But I also think like that first game against Pumas really set the tone for like, oh, we can win this. We could advance in this. This is not just like a conversation of let's just worry about the MLS. I think it really gave them the confidence that they needed to start this season. And then I think on top of that, as you mentioned, Frank, the success that they had in the MLS was shutting people out almost every single game, led to this point of like, all right, well, we got a nice little comfortable lead here to start the season. Like, we could still compete with FC Dallas and kind of give some guys some spots to rest and really get after Toluca, because I mean, beating, like, if they were able to beat Toluca on Wednesday, that's a big time early franchise defining win for this organization. I mean, that's one that could really propel you to the next level in terms of like the direction of your organization. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment for an organization that's just 1 year old.
Yeah, it certainly is. And going back to what you were saying about the confidence that beating Pumas gave them, Pumas was leading in that match too. San Diego FC didn't start scoring until about the 70th minute. Dua scored in the 69th minute. Vasquez 5 minutes later, 6 minutes later, Maiton 5 minutes later, and then Balbino 5 minutes after that. So they were down pretty much all of that game against Pumas, and in the same exact time frame as they were against Toluca as well. And they came back and they managed to win both of those games. So they definitely have the swagger and they definitely have the grit to be able to win these games and be competitive. It's just what is their focus. And right now their focus is international.
When we come back, we'll get you an update on how Walker Buehler is doing in his next start as spring training against the Giants. And we got updates on Jason Adam and Griffin Canning. We'll talk about that as we continue on the Braden Surprenant Show. Setting Summer Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. We are going to dive deeper into college basketball tomorrow to get your brackets ready. Now, anybody filling out a bracket, you don't have to have your bracket done before Tuesday when they start the first four. You need to get your bracket done before TCU and Ohio State tip off on Thursday. That is the first game of March Madness. They don't include the first four and any of the bracket pools that you might be in. So if you're driving around, you want to know, don't have to worry about the first four. Don't have to do it.
We do know who is going to be here and who is not. Well, and what time they're going to be playing here.
Yeah, we do
all
have
the
game times.
All the games are on Friday here for the first round.
Second round's on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you can't do the brackets before the playing games. You got to wait for the playing games, and then you got to lock in. Get it done Wednesday night. Start piecing together some stuff, but don't be submitting brackets that early. So we'll talk more about that later on in tomorrow's show. Gwen and Chris are going to be coming up next here in a matter of a half hour or so. But do you want to get you an update on Padres baseball today in Peoria? Again, I don't really look at Walker Buehler as close as we were before, because it sounds like he's going to be on the team. Earlier today, it was reported that Earlier it was reported that Joe Musgrove will be on the injured list to start the season. We got that from Craig Stammen. We got that from a couple of reports. And it wasn't really shocking news at this point. And so with that means there's an open spot in the rotation. I think that solidifies Walker Buehler as the 4, and now the real battle is for number 5, which I think you need to pay a little bit closer attention to, because I think Walker Buehler has pitched well enough to make this team. Now, I do think as well that, the staff has seen everything that they want to see out of Walker Buehler for him to make this team too. And we'll see what they do with him throughout the season. So Walker Buehler today for the Padres. He started the game off by getting out Jared Oliva. So we started the game off with a knock, or with an out, line drive out. Jung-Hoo Lee then doubled, and then Daniel Susak grounded out, and then Bryce Eldridge struck out swinging to end the inning. A lot of changeups, sliders, and knuckle curves today from Walker Buehler. We haven't seen the fastball a whole lot. He's thrown it twice. The 2 times that he has thrown a 4-seam fastball today, it's come in at 91.9 and 92.9. So get that for what it's worth. Now, he did just strike out Harrison Bader, and that pitch sequence went changeup, slider, went ahead 0-2, and then missed slider, sweeper, changeup. And then he went 4-seamer at 93, which was fouled off, and then got him on a slider. Able to do the same thing with Drew Gilbert, got him to strike out swings. That's now back-to-back strikeouts for Walker Buehler. And again, now his fastball is at 94. That's encouraging. 4-seam fastball at 94 to start the at-bat to Gilbert. Had a knuckle curve ball, cutter foul tip, and then strikeout on the knuckle curve. So back-to-back strikeouts for Walker Buehler. After he had a clean first inning, he's only given up the double to Jung-Hoo Lee. Overall, not bad so far. But hey, fastball getting up there a little bit in velocity. I mean, you're not going to see vintage Walker Buehler, but 93, 94, not bad, Frank. You'll take it.
I was looking at other stuff here. Did you say has he thrown the sinker in the second inning?
He has. I don't think he's thrown the sinker in the second inning.
Okay, you said he hadn't thrown.
He
it
hasn't
in the
thrown.
first.
He didn't throw it in the first either, but he is throwing the 4-seam fastball a lot.
Yeah, so
or a lot more than it was. He's thrown it like 3 or 4 times. Just gave up a double on a sweeper. He just threw his first sinker to Kennedy. It was a ball.
Okay, so because like I said, I told you during the break, if I were a pitcher in spring training, I would be, and I knew more or less that I was on the team, I would say, okay, role play scenario, I don't have my sinker today. It's not breaking. It doesn't feel good. I'm not locating it where I want to. Let's figure out how to get guys out without using X pitch. So maybe he's doing that today. That could be a thing he's trying out, Could be trying to work in the fastball, see what he can get out of it as we're getting closer and closer to the regular season starting. So I wouldn't, that to me reads that he's working on a day where he doesn't have his sinker. He's trying to simulate a day where he doesn't have his sinker.
I honestly think, I mean, he threw a lot of the sinkers last outing, and he said he was going to mix in more fastballs. I just think he's probably mixing in more fastballs this time. But I've been encouraged by Walker Buehler so far this spring. And again, he's reinventing himself to be a different type of pitcher. And this type of pitcher is going to rely on a lot of movement. This type of pitcher is going to rely on a lot of different mixing of pitches, changing eye levels, changing speeds, right? He's not going to be the power pitcher that he was in the past. And let's see if he gets out of the jam here. I mean, he's ahead of the count 1-2 after giving up the double. And he's looked pretty sharp so far. And the other thing too with Walker Buehler, Frank, he continues to get better.
Yeah.
He continues to get better with every outing that he has. So, as Go Aztecs in the YouTube chat says, he has to Greg Maddux it a little bit. And I think that's the case. But, Walker Buehler did not become the pitcher that he is because he didn't have good stuff. I mean, he's also got good stuff. He wasn't just like only a fastball guy. He's mixing a lot, and he just struck out the side in the second inning.
Well, 3 strikeouts. But
that's striking out the side.
There's a hit in between.
It's still striking out the side. The outs in the side inning, count as striking out the side. He did. He just didn't do it in order. Still counts. He went changeup, cutter, sinker, slider, sweeper. Sinker twice today. Sinker came in at 94. Interesting.
So he's ramping up a little bit more.
Yeah, so maybe he is going to get a little bit more on the velo. I mean, I think it's encouraging. And I think Ruben Niebla's done a pretty good job with Walker Buehler so far. So I don't want to sit here and say like, oh, he's going to be the next, Nick Pivetta and Seth Lugo and like all these guys. I just think that for the Padres, this is going to be the guy at the 4 or 5 spot in the rotation that's going to be getting you a lot of innings. So, Niebla Magic starting to do its work. And this is why I'm not ready to throw German Marquez away yet, because I think Ruben Niebla, with working with German Marquez, can get him to a good spot too. I mean, you got to trust your coaching staff when you're in this position when it comes to finances and stuff. And I think Walker Buehler might be a good asset for this Padres team. And again, he's another one of those guys they brought in. It's no risk, because if he sucks, Griffin Canning will just take his spot and you can move on. Speaking of moving on, we're going to move on to our next segment. And speaking of Griffin Canning, we have an update for you on Griffin Canning as well as Jason Adam. Jason Adam worked on a backfield earlier today. We'll tell you what happened at that, give you the update on the injury report, and then talk a little bit of WBC to finish the show. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station 97 through the Fan. All guests on 97 to the Fan, join us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not big bank banking, it's better. Padres and Giants are scoreless here in the third inning. The Giants have gotten a couple of knocks against Walker Buehler throughout the contest. In the first inning, Walker Buehler gave up a double, got everybody else out. In the second inning, he struck out the side and gave up a double. And now in the third inning, he just gave up a single to Jesus Rodriguez. But so far, so good for Walker Buehler here in the third. Again, hasn't thrown too many sinkers. He just had that one get hit at 92.5 miles an hour on the sinker velocity. He has thrown less sinkers today and more four-seam fastballs, which is interesting. The fastball that we have seen, at least the fastest one today, has been at 94 miles an hour for Walker Buehler, which is up there in velocity from what we have seen in the past. So he gives up the single to Rodriguez to start the third. Jared Oliva then gets out on a sacrifice bunt on the slider. And they're scoreless in the top of the third inning. We'll keep you updated on what goes on with Walker Buehler. As the game continues. I do want to get you an update on some, injury news for you with the Padres, because the Padres, of course, have some guys in camp that are trying to come off injury, and we'll get to that in a second. But with some of the reports of the weekend, we talked about it before going into this spring training. The Padres are taking a chance on Nick Castellanos. He's 34 years old. He's got 13 seasons of MLB service. He was released by the Phillies, and there was reported tension with him and manager Rob Thompson. The Padres decision makers involved in the evaluation were AJ Preller, Josh Stein, and Craig Stammen. And the key factor was strong reputation for Nick Castellanos and his work ethic. And so now when he has this new lease on life in San Diego, he fully embraced exactly the player that he is and being part of this organization. He's been a nice bright spot for the Padres, at least early on in spring. And here's the deal. He's learning on the fly. He's playing first base. The planned role for Nick Castellanos is going to be platooning at first, being a designated hitter, and an occasional outfield platoon player. And he's going to partner with Gavin Sheets playing at first base. And he has made a lot of career starts in the outfield. Castellanos has. He played for the Tigers, the Cubs, the Reds, the Phillies. But he's had a mindset change. He said in this report with Kevin Acee that sometimes it felt like, quote, a job in Philly, which it is a job. I mean, these guys are getting paid to do a job, which is play baseball. But he says in Padres camp, he's rediscovering the joy of playing, and he's enjoying learning a new position. I think this is a good outlet and a good outlook for Nick Castellanos as we move forward into the season, that he's got this new appreciation for baseball. He's enjoying playing the game. And sometimes this happens where getting released or getting cut from an organization gives you that perspective that you can do this, or it gives you the perspective of why you're doing this and in your why and how you put things together. So with Nick Castellanos, I like the opportunity that he gives this Padres team, and I think he is doing everything that we said at the beginning before they signed him that he had to do in order for this to work out, in order for this to make happen. And so far, he's doing that. What a play. Padres has had an inning-ending diving catch, which would have scored a run if it landed. Walker Buehler gets out unscathed due to his defense. A great play. Bryce Johnson. That's why Bryce Johnson needs to make the team right there. Plays like that. So Nick Castellanos' mindset change, I think, is a good step in the right direction. All right, let's get to the injury timeline for the Padres. Griffin Canning. I think a lot of people are interested in the Griffin Canning news because of the fact that you're not going to have Joe Musgrove to start the season. Griffin Canning is recovering from Achilles surgery. He has thrown in simulated games. He is continuing to throw simulated games, and he's facing hitters, which is progress, but his expected return is May or later. Padres are cautious about covering first and fielding bunts. That's a big problem that they want solidified before they throw him out there. But right now, Griffin Canning's pitching, so he could do everything the same. He could still throw bullpens. He could still get his arm up to speed. The biggest thing is playing defense and getting that up to par. And I think that's going to lead to Griffin Canning being able to jump in and not have to like ramp himself up pitching wise. Because a lot of the times, Frank, when it comes to injuries with pitchers, you're worried about the guy pitching, not necessarily fielding his position or things like that. So he can still do everything on the mound that you would expect him to be able to do.
Yeah, which just means that the road to recovery and him getting ready to go in the major leagues is not going to take a while because you don't have to worry about ramping his arm up and getting him ready to throw the intensity that a major league pitcher can coming off an arm injury. You're just looking for him to field his position. So he should be in a situation where he's not going to need any rehab starts. It's just when he's ready to go, he's ready to go.
Let's talk about Jason Adam. He is another guy that is dealing with relatively the same kind of progression. Now, Jason Adam had a quad injury last year, and when we saw that injury happen with him pitching in the game, I thought he was going to be out until the end of this year.
Yeah, I thought the timeline suggested at least the All-Star break.
And it looked bad. I mean, the injury looked bad. But then, I mean, he is an athlete. I mean, people don't understand how athletic Jason Adam is. I mean, Tony Gwynn Jr. has talked about it a lot, and watching Jason Adam do other things aside from pitching, right? Like throwing the football around pregame and doing a lot of other activities. He's a very athletic human being, and his recovery was incredibly fast. Now, his goal is opening day readiness, and he's expected spring appearances 3 to 4 games, other relievers 9 to 10 appearances, and decisions are pending on readiness. But Jason Adam is throwing on backfields. We saw him throw again on a backfield. The biggest concern with him again is the same thing as Griffin Canning, fielding your position and being able to cover first. And once he's able to do that, then Jason Adams going to be in a good spot. I mean, it's been pretty remarkable watching him come back from injury. We haven't seen him in a Cactus League game yet. I don't know how many Cactus League games he's going to need to be ready to go for the opening day. I think it's going to be kind of a game time decision when it comes to the opening day roster of whether or not he starts on the opening day roster as a player on the team or is on the injured list. But it's going to be good to add him back to the bullpen, and he's probably coming back to the bullpen sooner rather than later.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's an arm injury, so it's not like he's having to recover from a
quad injury.
Yeah, I know. I said it's not an arm injury.
You said it was an arm injury.
Oh, like, my bad. My bad. It's not an arm injury. So it's not like you're having to worry about him recovering off a surgery, trying to work his arm back up to strength. He's another one that he will be ready to go when he's ready to go. He's not going to have to work slowly to get back into it.
Now, the minor injury update that we have is from Sungmoon Song. He's got the oblique. He came into spring training with the oblique. He battled back, and then he hit a home run, 430 feet, and then re-injured the oblique. So he is back to his hitting progressions. He could return before the end of spring. They have floated out there that he could potentially start the year on the injured list, but I think they could be extra cautious with Sungmoon Song, whether it be more development in the minor leagues or extended spring training or being on the injured list, because they have Jose Miranda and Ty France hitting at a high level right now and really battling for an opportunity to be on this team.
Yeah, so you can afford to bring him up slowly. You can ramp him up. And also we saw yesterday Yuki Matsui throwing bullpens yesterday. So he is also working to slowly ramp himself back up and get back into the fold after his injury with Team Japan.
So a couple of people in the YouTube chat have brought it up, and I'll talk about it. One of my players at Cathedral, Honor Falave, committed over the weekend.
How about that? Front page story on ESPN.com too.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Huge.
Arfalave is a phenomenal athlete. He might be one of the best athletes at the high school level I have ever seen. Now, I only vaguely remember watching Reggie Bush play. So in terms of overall athletes I've ever seen play high school football, Arfalave might be the best I've ever seen. He's a really incredible player. He plays safety for us. He plays cornerback for us. It's kind of been a mix of both. He's probably more of a corner than he is a safety. And he is phenomenal on the offensive side of the ball at running back. He committed to USC. I'm a little surprised by that. I thought he was going to go to Oregon.
Yep.
I really thought he was going to go to Oregon. He really loved, Dan Lanning and everything. And who knows? Like, when it comes to the situation with college football nowadays, I mean, there's no guarantee that Honor stays at USC for all 4 years. I would honestly I would put that percentage at very low. Just with the everyday deal of college athletics. It's very, very minimal. It's very shocking to see any athlete stay at the same university for 4 years. Now, here's the deal for Arfalave. This is what I love about the fact that he's going to USC. One, he gets to stay local. And again, he still has another season of high school football. And I'm sure he will early enroll in the spring in January. But I liked him going to USC with the fact that Gary Patterson's now the DC, and the secondary coaches are all guys I know. Paul Gonzalez, former secondary coach at TCU. Sam Carter, who was probably one of the best safeties in TCU history, and he played that strong safety position in Gary Patterson's 4-2-5 defense. I think Arfalave can really do some damage in that 4-2-5 defense that Gary Patterson runs. But that being said, there's a couple of things that he obviously needs to work on to be able to be a two-way guy, because he says he wants to play both offense and defense in college. He has said that in the announcement. I've heard him talk about it. He does it for us at Cathedral, but he has to get into shape, which is crazy because the guy runs 22 miles an hour. But Honor needs to be able to get in shape where he's not tired in a high school game playing both ways. It's so difficult to do. And to play safety and running back at the D1 level is going to be extremely difficult to do. But he is such an elite athlete from the offensive side of things, on top of the fact he's a great cover guy. The way I watch Arfalave play, it would be a treat to college football fans to be able to watch this guy play both ways. But he needs to be able to get himself in better shape to be able to do that. But what he does on offense, he's got Le'Veon Bell patience when it comes to running. He literally sits there for a second, he sees hole, and then the difference maker for him is his acceleration. There's not a lot of athletes that can accelerate like that from a portion of pause and then hit it, go. Honor's got that kind of ability. And then on the defensive side of things, I showed Frank this last camp in the press box at Petco Park, the video of Honor recovering he recovered on a double move on a receiver he was going against. Mm-hmm. His recovery time is remarkable. He is able to do things naturally that I can't even teach kids to do. But I honestly think he's probably better suited as a running back at the next level than a defensive player. He wants to do both. I know defense is where his heart is, but
I think they said ESPN
his
had him
offense
as
is
a
crazy.
safety.
Yeah, he's listed as a safety on all the recruiting things. I also don't see him as a safety. I think it's a different element for him that he's not used to yet, and I think it's going to be difficult for him to play. He could probably play weak safety in Gary Patterson's 4-2-5. The free safety, it might be a little bit too much for him at that level. But I'm telling you right now, if you haven't watched this kid play football, you have 10 opportunities to do so in the fall. And only 4 of them are at Cathedral. And only 9 of them are here in town to watch him play football. You have to watch him play football. It's pretty crazy. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. Gwen and Chris coming up next.